don't want to get in trouble for it again.
You've gotten in trouble in the past? What's happened?
I got in jail a couple times.
But you still do it?
Hell yeah.
You're now listening to the AITB podcast.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of All in the Bag podcast. I'm your host, Myan. This is the show where I hang out with graffiti writers from around the Bay Area and we talk shop. Before we get into it, as a reminder, all of the stories and opinions on this show are fake, and we say all this stuff just for entertainment purposes. Nothing that we say on the show actually happened. So coming to the show today, a guy who, is one of the top dogs in the Bay Area for sure, causing pure mayhem, the fully automatic daddy himself, Aker47.
The fully automatic daddy.
I have to think about little...
Bro, do you know how many people are going to lay into me for that one?
Hell yeah.
Oh, I can't wait.
Well,
Anyway, I appreciate it. That was beautiful.
I try to have, decent intros, It was one of those things that, at first I was just like, oh, yeah, coming to the show is da-da-da. And I was like, well, let me start trying,
No, I love it. It's great.
3 years in, man, I got to make it a little bit spicier.
You got to spice it up. You got to keep it spicy.
Yeah, exactly.
I respect it.
And so, yeah, thanks for the distinction earlier because, when I first came across your graffiti, I was like, oh, Aker. But then as I saw you doing just your two-letter throwies for a long time and hitting the 47, I was like, oh, maybe he's Aker47 or AK47. But now I know officially Aker.
It's confused people for years.
But that's why I thought of the fully automatic daddy.
I love it.
The Taliban's favorite weapon.
It was actually, it was the first gun I ever shot.
Oh, really? Damn.
And also the number 47 has actually been a reoccurring number in a lot of different pieces of my life. So
interesting.
It's very strange the way it had come to me and how it just happened to kind of work with, that piece of the graffiti I do. So
nice.
It's just always, I think I introduced it around 2003 or something like that.
Oh, wow.
And I started putting a 47 there because there's a lot of people around the world that write Aker.
Mm-hmm. So something
I wanted to distinguish myself, and it worked perfectly for the two letters. So it just boom, there it went.
Nice.
Aker47.
Okay, sick.
Yeah.
So starting at the beginning of the show, I always like to do, how you got started into graffiti, what made you, pick up a can, what was happening around the time, or where did you get your start, and what was the scene for graffiti in that area? So
I started getting into it. Probably around 1994. I was living in a suburb just outside Washington, D.C., and in my neighborhood and also in the area that I lived in, actually a lot of well-known and respected writers were actually born and came out of there. A couple of notable ones were Sire and Stren, who did Mass Appeal, Felon, Thirst, let's see, Expert, I think Cha Hai, he's from that area. The guy who wrote Penis was from there.
Not the penis that was here in the Bay
different
Area?
Different penis.
Oh, okay.
I
was going to say, pause, but I'm a huge fan of penis.
Yeah, no, I mean, who doesn't like a good
no
penis
Diddy.
tag? Who doesn't like a good penis tag? But no, there's a lot of folks that came out of that zone.
Sick.
I'm trying to think who else I'm leaving out right now, and I know I am. I believe High. Remember, the Free Rider High.
Oh yeah.
From that area.
Yeah.
Pear.
Oh
from
yeah.
That area.
NSF.
Yeah. He came, later on. And, I mean, who else? I don't know.
Yeah. So you were inspired by a lot of people. You were seeing some dope shit.
Yeah, I mean, these older, it was 1994.
Mm-hmm.
I was just getting into hardcore music, like Biohazard and Life of Agony have videos on Headbangers Ball.
Yeah,
my friends were getting into straight edge hardcore, and so was I, because Discord was right there, and we were starting to listen to all the DC singles like 7 Inches and shit like that. And Youth of Today had made its mark, and there was even like Krishna Core stuff, and there was a lot of DC in the late, well, really the 90s in general. It had a lot of different culture that was really popping. Writers like Cycle, Cool Disco Dan, Cert, Cast 144, Ultra. A lot of these guys were just crushing the city, and SMK. These dudes were these were the writers I was looking at and being like, holy shit, what's this about? There was another crew. There was a little lesser known called NAA crew. I had writers like Horizon, Exacto, and these are guys also who, you'd see it out at like hardcore shows and stuff like that. And these subcultures would cross into each other, bleed into each other, and you'd meet people, or you'd see this stuff, you see writing on the walls at certain venues, or certain areas around venues, and you kind of tie, we do you do the math, and boom, like you never know what you're gonna come across. But it was a very cool place to be a teenager. And I went to high school in North Capitol K Street, and that was right off the Red Line. And the Red Line was like, I mean, it was just a gallery of graffiti. Like you took that to Silver Spring and back, and like, man, you got to see so much cool stuff. Yeah. And so that was kind of what I got to look at, and it would influence me. I mean, it was a lot different back then. If you wanted to see graffiti that wasn't from your neighborhood, or wasn't from your city, you had to go to Tower Records and go find issue a Can Control, or On the Go magazine, or
that's a very common theme. Everyone's like, yeah, man, Tower Records was the place to be.
Tower Records was the shit.
Yeah.
And the guy is funny. I did a show in DC last year, and the guy who stocked all those magazines, it was like the dude who was into like hardcore and punk, and like made sure all the zines like MRR and all that stuff was all that stuff. So he came to the show.
Oh, really?
I was like, bro, you don't know how much of a solid you did me and all my friends growing up.
Damn.
Like, I definitely gave him his flowers. You know what I mean? He didn't expect it. He was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah. You're like, bro, I'm in this show because of you.
I was so hyped he was there. I was like, you worked at Tower Records in 1994? He's like, fuck yeah. I was like, oh my God, son, you don't even know.
I mean, people don't realize, so, I mean, for him, he's like, what the fuck is this? But it's like that little effort that he did or whatever to stock those things, or to be like, oh, this is on the catalog, I'll buy, so-and-so inventory and have it stocked up, is like such a pivotal point for so many people. Yeah.
I mean, it's just what it was back then.
Yeah.
It was a different world.
Yeah, definitely. The 90s was definitely crazy. Okay, that's sick. And then, well, I'm sure you had a different name. What was your first name or if if you're willing to say it?
I played with a bunch of different names.
Mm-hmm.
I think my first thing I ever wrote on a wall was with my oldest and best friend, Daryl Moraes, who I still kick it with. And we used to go in the woods and write in sewer tunnels and electrical boxes out by our house. And I wrote the word erratic, ERATIC. And I went to that sewer tunnel a year ago, and it's still there. And
holy shit.
On the wall in gold and white, like stolen from the garage, mom's Christmas pine cone.
Gold-filled white outline?
Yeah, exactly. It's still there, man.
That is crazy. How long has that been running? 94, you said?
I think it's 1994 I did that, so.
Holy shit, dude. 30 years.
Rust-Oleum works, bro. That shit stays forever.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, certain colors, right? But like, I mean, fuck, that's
I couldn't
but it's
believe
also
it
in a
was
sewer
there.
tunnel, right? So less
in some like random little neighborhood in the
that's
suburb.
tight.
Is
there other graffiti in there? Like if people found that spot and like painted it?
I mean, I think someone wrote like total chaos and like oi. Like
oi.
Some skinheads drank down there one day, like that, whatever. It's
okay. But it's not like a spot, right?
It's
not
not a spot. I would be very surprised if I saw non-pedestrian graffiti in there.
Wow. Okay. Have you thought about going there and actually like really burning it? Is there space for that?
Well,
kind
my
of stuff?
my folks moved, so I really have no reason.
No
to
business
go back to
being
that
there.
Neighborhood.
Yeah. Okay. That's funny as hell. I mean, I just for the hell of it, I'd be like, I got to go back there and burn it.
I mean, when I was a kid, I used to like sit in there and like drink creek water and like be amongst myself and
Drink
like,
creek
in my
water.
own thought. I did. I didn't get that. Like when I was a little kid, in my head, if the water was running quickly, it was safe to drink.
It's fresh. Well, I mean, I would say probably, water was less contaminated back then than it is now.
Man, I followed up on where that water is actually coming from. And I'll be honest with you, I'm surprised I didn't have diarrhea all the time. When
Really?
I was a little kid.
I mean, you probably have like an iron gut, man. You probably built up all those tolerances.
It has been hypothesized, but I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, sick. Well, all right. So Erratic, 1994. You're at Tower Records checking out magazines and stuff like that.
That's what it is, exactly.
Yeah. How did it transition over into like, oh, this is cool. I'm just gonna be tagged into like, yo, I'm a fucking graph writer. Like,
I think it.
where do you think it clicked that you were like, all right, I got to really be out here, repping my name? And
I think when I did my first week in jail and got hit with a $5,000 restitution, is that when it really hit. It said, "Hey man, are you going to continue doing this shit and being a problem for yourself and your family, or are you going to like do some other shit?" To be honest with you, I mean, I was 17. I didn't know what the fuck to do with myself.
yeah. So you're like, fuck it, I'm
So
gonna
I was
keep
like,
it going.
I'm gonna keep doing this. I like this.
Yeah.
I wasn't really that into drugs. I like to drink sometimes with my friends then, but
Sure.
straight edge was a part of my life, early on in my teenage years, and
Okay.
and I kind of ditched that. But I really, I don't know. There was something about graffiti that just had me locked in, and I wasn't very good at it. I was pretty bad.
Yeah.
But some of the terrible stuff I did, people liked and gave me a little encouragement. And I didn't get a lot of, I didn't have a lot of people tell me, good job. I just went to work, went to high school, did my best to, get good enough grades, did my best at work to keep moving up and making some money.
Sure.
And, I just stayed in my lane. A lot of my friends were cutting up and, doing a lot worse shit. And the way I saw it was like, well, this is just, to me, I was like, at the time I was like, I'm making art. Like, this is cool. Da, da, da.
Yeah. That's what's up. When did you finally fall on Aker?
I'd say 1995.
Oh, okay. So shortly after.
Yeah. 1995 actually is a really funny story. I was at a hardcore show with a bunch of my homies. Me and them had just completely blown up the bathroom.
You did?
At this, you mean like we just destroyed this bathroom with like
okay.
mop tags. I can't
I'm
remember.
thinking you hit like
I
a
think
shit.
I was writing like JK1 or something like that at the time, and I remember like we were watching this band. I want to say it was Damnation AD play, and this fool comes on the microphone, some like Positive Force like youth crew hardcore guy who like puts on these shows at these universities, and was like, okay, which one of y'all fucking did that shit to the bathroom? Like, stopped the show to bitch and try to get like people to confess, and we all just sat there silent, like kind of laughing to ourselves. And I was like, fuck. I was like, we're gonna get our, in my back of my head, I'm like, someone's gonna know it's us and we're gonna get our asses kicked. But no one ever figured it out. But after that, I was like, you know what, now's a good time to change my fucking name. I was like, they're definitely like these fools in the scene are definitely looking for whoever the fuck this is.
Yeah.
And this shit was toy anyway, so I was like, let me play with some different letters, and I fell on those because they just flowed nicely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And AKER was like the first spell out?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you didn't go like ACRE or nothing like that. Have you ever swapped out just cause?
I think there was a point where I was doing shit. I was fucking with the letters. I was writing like AEKR sometimes in Richmond. I don't know, man. It was a weird era for me mentally.
Okay.
So I don't know, I was doing a bunch of goofy shit. Like in the early 2000s, like Virginia style was was highly influenced by like freight writers. I feel like On a Rock, and there was a writer named Scan53 who had a very cool style. That was VA style. Was, I don't know, it's hard to explain. It was kind of like it was fragmented pieces of, everywhere else, and it was very freight concentrated.
Yeah.
I don't know. We were
Big freight culture out there.
Yeah, we were experimenting, doing different stuff, and I'd say most of what I did back then didn't really land on the side of being good graffiti. It was pretty bad.
Yeah, but you were trying.
We were getting spots.
Yeah.
I mean, I was getting spots. I was doing shit, but
Yeah.
it wasn't that fresh.
Okay. And so at that time, were you mostly hitting freight, or were you like bombing the cities? And
When I was in Richmond, Virginia, I was mostly doing freight trains because it was so. If you got caught doing graffiti in Richmond, you did 30 days.
Oh shit.
And so during that time, and I ended up, having to deal with one of those. And the reason why I ended up in the Bay Area was in 2004, I caught a bad case. I got caught in the act. It was really bad. They were trying to lock me up for 2.5 years.
Oh shit.
And so I paid out my own bond. And
you're like, I'm gonna be on this side.
I told my lawyer what was up, and he's
Yeah.
like, "All right, we'll figure it out." And I moved to SF,
Damn.
and
Haven't looked back.
yeah, I mean, I've been living a bunch of different places here and there, but
Sure.
my home base, for the last 2 decades has been the Bay Area.
Sick. Damn, that's crazy.
That's the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you got to do what you got to do, right? That's sick that like you grew up seeing On a Rock, or is it On a Rock or On a Rocks?
On a Rock was this guy.
He would change it up, right? Throw the X in there.
I don't know. I think it's just ONOROK.
Oh, maybe
But
I'm
it
tripping.
was just there were so many. He was doing so many freights, and so we were looking at freight trains. In Richmond, there wasn't a lot of graffiti running. There was always a lot of graffiti. There was guys who were doing shit out there that were dope. That I respected, like Ace 2, Elk. There was a lot of writers like Hearst, Arcade, or it's Marsh. You'd see Felon Graffiti, see Thirst Graffiti around town.
Sure.
There was who else was doing BZ? Man, he was great.
Yeah.
Still great. Trying to think who else was active at the time. This guy wrote eBay. He was super dope. Gems.
Damn.
I don't know, man. I mean, I don't sit here and just go through memory lane, but like there was cool writers that had style. I mean, all the 757 guys like Phone and Lies were, fantastic.
Yeah. Phone, is that the one with the eyeball and the P?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Mighty PH.
Yeah.
He's always got a little eyeball doing some shit.
Yeah.
It's fresh, man. He's just stayed consistently sick since like the late 90s,
I remember
Mad. Let's not forget Mad.
Mad,
WH. I mean, ESC. He was from Virginia.
Okay.
So,
yeah, I remember Phone came to the Bay Area, and I remember taking a picture of Phone in a tunnel, but I'd only ever seen him in like magazines and videos. Like it's why when you said On a Rock, it clicked in me because to this day, and I talk about it all the time, and I've said it in many podcasts, but like Reefer Madness by Fatso.
Okay.
Have you ever seen it? It's on YouTube. I highly recommend it. I think it's from like 2002 to 2004 ish, and it got released in like 06. I could be wrong with the dates, but it's on YouTube. You can check it out. But it's just freight train culture from the time, and it's Fatso trying to find a solid cold to paint because they're retiring him off of the line. So he's like traveling all over the nation trying to find a solid cold.
Huh.
And there's a little section where he's interviewing On a Rock.
That's cool.
And it's just the coolest little 15-second edit of its like sketch, fill, outline, then the freight. And I was just like, God damn, that was a sick ass 15-second edit. But it's always like stuck in my head, and Fatso's, Dub H as well. So like
those guys had a lot of influence on what Virginia writers were doing on
For
frictions
sure.
in the early 2000s. There's another guy, Expert, who really pushed things too. He was up on the phrase, but he was also getting wild, like street spots that these things wouldn't run.
Yeah.
But he found a way to make them run. Like
Fuck.
he was doing Wild Heavens, and
Yeah.
he's a guy I just feel like never got his flowers. He was really good.
Damn. Okay. That's someone I love looking at old graffiti. It's my favorite thing, It's just like so different from what it is now.
Yeah.
A lot more, because it was also more new, I guess you could say, right? It's a little bit more, 90s, early 2000s is definitely not the infancy, but for some places it was, right? And because of the lack of, the internet now, it's like, there's no such thing as regional styles, right? Everyone kind of pulls from everything, but
Right.
at least back then, like you said, you were pulling little tidbits here and there, but very influenced from freight culture and whatnot. It's cool to see those regional styles back then and seeing how things were untapped in their own way. You still kind of see it to this day, like I got a crewmate in the East Coast, Raul, and he, he sends me pictures, and I see his pictures that he posts of like other things, and just like, dude, that East Coast style out there is very prevalent and like holds true, and I think it's tight to see that shit.
I love.
He's in Boston though.
Late 90s New York, Boston stuff is kind of my holy grail.
Okay.
Like stuff that like Senta was doing, stuff that like Caper was doing, a lot of the 5AV guys in Boston, Exacto. And also Boston was one of those places, like if you got caught, it was a felony.
Yeah.
You get locked the fuck up. Like
Yeah.
being a bomber in Boston really fucking meant something. If you were putting in work and you're getting up in Boston, you automatically, you get a handshake because that was a big deal.
Yeah. Like if you got up there, you got your stripes.
Exactly. A lot of these other cities, everyone got off easy comparatively.
Mm-hmm.
But there's cities where they take that shit seriously.
Oh yeah.
Do time. It's just, and it's crazy to think now how you can really just post up and the police will just drive past you in a lot of places and not give a shit. They're like, oh yeah, I knew a guy who did that in high school. I'm not gonna arrest him. Yeah, because the culture's grown. Yeah, there's cops out here now that were probably writing when we were
back in the day,
kids, and they're just like, yeah, that dude's sick. I'm gonna let him ride. Like, I ain't gonna arrest him tonight.
No, for sure. That is a reality, right? That graffiti's been here for so long.
Yeah, the culture.
Graffiti and skateboarding is, I feel like, goes very hand in hand. It's you see videos all the time, like cops being like, "Hey, you guys can't skate here," but then they'll go do a tray flip,
right,
on the kid's board and be like, "All right, you guys gotta get out of here."
Right.
You see that shit all the time. We've yet to see a cop do a throwy, but that'd be the day, man. That's when graffiti is officially in the clear.
Yeah, it's funny, like how things have, progressed over the years and where it's at and how accessible everything is too.
Oh yeah.
So it's kind of cool seeing how much the technology of it has grown, the culture has grown. Yeah. And then seeing how people have elevated things.
No more stealing stone cleaner tips and shit, phantoms and all that.
You get it on, you can order it on the internet now.
Yeah, exactly. 100 count caps and shit like that all the time.
Yeah, it'll be there the next day.
I have a 3D printer and I print my adapters on here, my Resto adapters.
See, there you go.
That's insane, right?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I think the first time I ever ordered caps was from Santa Cruz Skateboard.
Oh,
something
shit.
Like that?
No way.
And they did
like off of a magazine?
Yeah, and they did COD.
Oh, shit.
So like I made the order.
For kids that don't know, that means cash on delivery. So the mailman would come and then you'd have to give the mailman cash.
Yeah, and it showed up in like a little cigar box.
Yeah.
And I had to pay them there. And I just remember thinking, man, I really hope that this shit doesn't show up before my parents get home from work because I'm gonna be fucked.
Yeah, because then they gotta pay for it. And they're like, "What the fuck is this?"
Not only that,
but they're opening your shit up. For
definitely getting grounded. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was just funny.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy, man. That's what's up. Okay, so do you want to talk about like when you got wrapped? Like what were you doing? Like,
it's actually a really funny story.
I'd love to hear it.
I was filming prank sketches for this
like CKY type shit,
that type of shit with this company called Day by Day, which is Will Carsola and Dave Stewart, who went on to do what you call it, Cartoon Network, Mr. Pickles, and
Yeah,
Mama
yeah.
Made Me Sheriff. And they used to make graffiti and sketch comedy and skateboard videos, and they had them in this company called Day by Day. They did one called Teenagers from Mars, another called Teenagers from Uranus. And we were just filming. I was basically wearing tighty whities and a jean jacket that said some stupid ass shit on the back. What the fuck did it say? Like, this guy fucks or something dumb like that. And I had a mullet wig on and a trucker hat. I just looked like a fucking psycho.
Yeah.
And I was running around. We were running around with a blow up doll, and I was jumping over onto bar patios at bars that night and pretending to fuck the blow up doll in front of a bunch of people while they're drinking.
This is like probably one of the greatest stories.
So
this is the beginning of one of the greatest stories.
So I'm in this one bar, and I immediately walk in, and there's a guy who is one of my best friends today, but at the time did not like me because the last time he saw me, I body checked him into a bush.
Oh shit!
He
So
writes.
he had it out for you.
He writes Dicko, and he's a fantastic person. If you ever see him, shake his hand and give him love.
Okay.
But I walked in and I started doing this by him, and he took out a pen and popped the blow up doll and looked at me like he wanted to kill me. And I was just like, all right, well, whatever. Then someone comes in and goes, hey, there's some guys outside there writing over your tag in the fucking parking lot across the street. And I had some tags on this parking lot across the street. I was like, what do you mean? They're like, I'm serious, bro. Go outside.
Oh, they're crossing you out.
So I go outside, and it's just some drunk fucking idiots who come down from Northern Virginia and D.C. and they were writing, and I guess, they just weren't paying attention. I just walked right up to them. I go, did you do that? I was like, they're all looking like, who the fuck is this psycho? And
Well, yeah, you're sitting there in tidy whities with a jean jacket
exactly,
and a mullet wig.
yeah, they're like, what actually is this person? And I was like, which one of you bitches wrote over my shit? And I just grabbed this fool's bag of paint.
Uh-huh.
And I was just like, you know what? I don't care. I'm just taking this. I walked up, I crossed them out, wrote my tag next to it. Then I went over to the other wall that was blank. It was like some restaurant. And I started doing a huge outline. And then a bicycle cop rolled up.
A bicycle
A cop on a bicycle, rolled up. Of course, these guys didn't say shit because I just punked them for their paint. And I just look, and he's like, hey. I was like, nope. And I take off, right?
You take off in a mullet wig.
I start running, and this cop, he's like trying to change gears. Like there's film of this somewhere.
Oh,
there's
my
actual
God.
footage of this because they were out filming, right?
If there is a God, I would love for this to like.
So this guy takes off after me, and I make it like 4 blocks before he jumps off his bike and tackles me into a fucking pile of glass in this alley.
Oh shit!
Puts a fucking gun to my head.
Oh shit!
And he's like, "Don't move. I'm putting cuffs on you." And he's like, "I can't." He was pissed because he had to like move. And I'm sitting there and just bummed. I was like looking like a fucking idiot. And
yeah, you're in tidy whities.
Yeah, I'm just drunk as shit, and I'm just like, God, what the fuck,
Yeah.
And this guy shows up. This cop, like I guess they have a local police investigator shows up, and he's all excited. He's got a boner and yelling about it. He's like, oh, we got the guy. Blah, blah, blah. They take me back to their little interrogation shit, and this guy's got a huge stack of photos and a big file, and I was just like,
of your shit?
Yeah, I was just like, he's like, we need to talk about this, and I was just looking into those stuff, and I was just like,
I plead the fifth.
I just looked at him, and I was like, look, man, I was like, take one look at me right now. I was like, you think I'm in any shape to work on any of this? I was like, just take me to jail, or or you can call my lawyer. Here's his number, or I'll call him. I was like, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing or saying.
Yeah,
I was just like, but we're not doing this.
Yeah.
And then that was that. I got wrapped with on a couple of misdemeanor charges, and then of course they turned them into a bunch of, there's some felony charges, some other shit and all. It went on and on, but I was looking at a lot, and my lawyer at the time was like, if they can get enough of this to stick, like you're looking, it's not looking good,
Yeah.
But in the end of the day, after everything was said and done, years later, like 5 or 6 years later, I ended up paying a the ex-DA to take a look at getting the case, figuring out what to do about the warrants and everything. It was like $200 later, it was all gone.
Shit.
She was just plugged up like that, and she was friends with a buddy of mine who was a lawyer, and he pulled a favor and got me out of that.
Damn, best $200 you've ever spent.
Sometimes time, heals things.
Time heals all
and
wounds.
so do ex-district attorneys.
Yeah. Yeah, that
crazy.
definitely helps.
Better than in 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Way better.
Okay, well, fuck, man. You got good luck, dude.
I do.
I would have bought a scratcher that night.
Dog.
Okay, word. so that was around the time that you were like, okay, I'm gonna move to the Bay.
I moved to the Bay.
You were dealing with that actually, like as it was happening. You were already out here, right?
Yeah, I was
Okay.
spending a lot more time in New York and in the Bay. Actually, I started traveling around a lot after that and getting arrested in a lot of other places.
Not for graffiti, though, right?
Oh yeah, for graffiti.
Oh, really?
I got arrested. I think in 5 different cities in
Shit.
within 8 months.
God damn.
I think I got arrested in Richmond, D.C., New York, Rhode Island, and New Orleans before I finally settled out here, I think.
Okay.
And it was all very stupid.
Hmm.
So
How was New York? Because you said
it was
2000, so
quick trip to the Tombs and out I go.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. As a kid, even now to this day, but I've always said New York is like graffiti Olympics, just because they had the task force. They were like known for really like having that. I don't know if that's
It was one of
still
those
there.
things where you would write knowing that you are going to get caught.
Yeah.
So you're either running or you're just taking your chances and hoping you get caught by a cop that isn't going to bust your balls so much. I had one guy catch me one time in Brooklyn, in Williamsburg actually, and chased me into a bathroom. I locked the bathroom. I threw all the paint and everything out the bathroom window, and then came out with no materials on me. He knew with me. He was fucking furious. And this guy basically shoved my face into like a gutter grate out in front of the restaurant I ran into. Took out my wallet and he goes, "You think that shit's funny?" He's like, "Now this is happening," and threw my ID into the sewer.
Bummer.
But you know what? I was okay with that because
Yeah.
to me that was better than going to jail.
Oh, 100%.
I'll take a beat down any day of the week
Oh,
than getting
100%.
locked up.
I completely agree with you.
Just keep me out the system.
You could break
and,
a leg.
Just don't put my name in the computer.
Yeah. Yeah. There's nothing worse than being in a fucking system.
That was that.
Yeah, dude. Fuck that. I something about it just instantly irks me. I got back from Thailand a couple weeks ago, and first thing when you enter the country, they automatically file in your fingerprints.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, yo, what the fuck? Like, instantly I was like, all right, I got to be on my P's and Q's, But once you're in the country, it's Thailand's great. You can fucking do whatever you want.
Some of the nicest, most beautiful people in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to get into traveling because I know you've traveled for sure. But we'll get there in a second. But yeah, I just understand what you're talking about anything system wise. Getting wrapped, having to talk to a motherfucker is just like, oh god.
It's the world, the unfortunate piece of the world we live in.
Right. Okay, so you said you came in 2004 to SF?
That's correct.
Okay.
September of 2004. So, this month, I think it's 20 years out here.
Crazy. All right. And what was that like for you? Coming from the East Coast, coming from all the things that you've experienced, how was the West Coast when you're like, holy shit, it's a different world?
It was not a warm welcoming.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I immediately came out here. I started getting up. I started doing stuff and, being not really giving a shit, just, sticking my dick into things and fucking going over people and, just being a menace and making all the wrong choices and catching beefs and not really giving a shit and doing a lot of bad things that, really set a pretty bad tone for myself landing in the Bay. Some stuff I look back on and I go, hey, man, why are you making problems? just relax.
Yeah.
Don't you're doing too much.
Yeah.
Too much of my life at that point was focused on graffiti. At that point, it's just
Gotcha.
like, well, here I am, look, with 2.5 years hanging over my head, and I'm on the other side of the country. I don't know anyone out here.
Yeah. And already starting shit.
And I'm already getting into it. And, it didn't go, let me put it like this. It didn't go well. A lot of it ended up with, lasting beefs that went on for too long. And I had to take a step back, especially after the first 2 years.
Yeah.
Dropped any crews I was in, stopped painting for a little while, and just focused on getting money and figuring out what I'm doing in my life, because you looked at and you look at something pulling so much of you into a negative direction that eventually you have to go, hold up, like, am I in the wrong fucking room here?
Yeah.
Like,
what's this really about?
What is this about? Like, who am I trying to impress here?
Yeah.
What's this doing for me? Nothing. Is this paying my rent? No.
Yeah.
So, you have to look at it eventually. You have to look at it, things at a point where does this, you have to see if this makes sense anymore.
Yeah.
And reevaluate things, and so I started to put a lot more work into, other areas of my life that needed doing.
Yeah.
And things got much better from there. Taking that time to get my bread up and start, making a real life for myself.
So you took a step back?
Yeah, getting involved in it.
Because,
Let's still go out with the homies and get hammered and catch some tags around town or
Okay.
something. But like, there was no real.
It
It wasn't my focus.
Right.
It was just like, all right, playtime's over. Now you gotta get your life together.
Mm.
And I think that was a very pivotal moment for me, because it made me realize that, like, this actually isn't what life is about. It's this nice thing that this is a fun thing to do,
For sure.
but at the end of the day, you got to take care of yourself. You got to take care of your mind, your body. You got to take care of your friends and family.
Mm-hmm.
There's other priorities that are more important than writing on property that doesn't belong to you.
Completely agree.
And so, you kind of hit a point where I go, fuck, what the fuck, man? Like, all I've been doing is getting arrested, getting into trouble. I got warrants, blah, blah, blah. I have to.
People don't like me.
Yeah, people don't like me. It's time to pump the brakes and go, all right, like, let's reel it in.
Yeah.
Let's reel it in and enjoy pieces of life that, are reachable, and redirect your focus
Sick.
to doing, to bettering yourself.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. Okay. All right. So hustling and doing what you got to do to get that paper up.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it. Is that there's times where you can just you can let this shit eat you,
Mm-hmm.
and next thing you know, you're a drug addict living in a car.
Yeah.
Or you can go, all right, time to take, like, I spend this much time in the day worrying about this shit. Let me put this into something that's actually going to better my life.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
And so I guess, trying to find that balance eventually is it's just, it's one is a part of it growing up, is also just being responsible to yourself and the people around you.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
I mean, graph life balance is extremely important. It's a question that I always tell people, how do you handle it? Because, graffiti, maybe people don't, like, I feel like I personally don't have like an addictive personality. Some people do. But when you do graffiti, I feel like it is addicting as fuck. Even if, like, you might not be addicted to substance or whatever, but you're like, yeah, I want to paint, I want to get up, I want to, get better or whatever it might be, or I want to hit this spot. Sometimes it's hard, and graffiti tends to take a lot of time and space and energy from people, and it's always a kind of a hard thing to balance sometimes. I know, for at least for myself, there were times where, like, all I could think about, was like, okay, I got to get this new spot. If I'm driving, I'm like almost getting into accidents because I'm like, you see over a bridge, or you see, a little canal, and you're like, is that a spot? Do I need to pull over right now? It becomes a thing where you're like, all right, dude, those spots are going to be there. Like, I'll get there when I get there, and what am I really doing? Like,
yeah, I mean, it's a different mentality. I think most of the people who you see up the most and the people who you see up the longest, most of them are folks who have addictive personalities or are or were addicts. Some people trade out being an addict for their new addiction, which is, getting up.
Mm-hmm.
And you see that, as a pretty common thing these days. Actually, a lot of people end up trade out substance abuse for just, they channel it into like their new thing, you know. And for some people, that's graffiti, and whatever. I'd rather see them doing that than
Oh yeah, for sure.
than drugs and shit. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. So when you moved in here in '04. Were there any people that really like caught your attention that you were like, yeah, that dude's killing it out here? Like, what was Bay Area graffiti for you in like '04? I mean, did you care to pay attention to other people, or really you were just like, I'm gonna be a dickhead and just go over everyone?
Let's see, '04. Who was I think the most impressive shit I saw was some of the bus hopper flows.
Yeah,
like Obsess was. He had such fucking great tags, man.
great hands.
I'm trying to think. Suffer.
TDF.
Yeah, a lot of TDF stuff was fantastic. I just noticed that because that was like a new thing for me.
Yeah.
Had that shit out east,
Yeah.
So there was that.
What do they call it in the East Coast? Is it a non-stop? Or a one flow?
One flow.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, one flow.
I've met people from the East Coast that, well, I forget from where or whatever. They're like, oh, that's a nonstop.
DC and Baltimore has some one flows.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say like, I mean, but bus hopper, even though it is obviously like a one liner, it's completely different than one flows. In the East Coast for sure. Bus hopping is very different.
Yeah. Man, it's like I look back to that era, who was doing, I mean, the MSKWR guys were doing some blockbusters around that were dope.
Yeah.
I've seen Steel up. Of course, I've seen MQ.
04, it's not really a lot of pits back then.
There wasn't really, no one was really like straight killing it. The Frog Man was doing stuff.
Ribbity?
Frog, yeah, that was it.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Yeah, that's right. God damn. Yeah,
he just passed away, yeah.
Shame.
Walker, that's
right.
Ribbity's one flow or bus hop was Walker. JC, I think he was JC. Can't remember. He might have been KCM if I'm not mistaken. King's Crushing Muni. Yeah.
Yeah, Orphan actually had a ton of stuff up in the Mission then.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the Sad Jose character. Love that.
What was the one? It was like he always has some wild shit. It was like Dainty Waif or like.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to think.
I loved his little like.
Yeah, it was
kind of
so
looked
creative.
like a little elf on a shelf type thing. He'd have like a little hoodie with like some pointy fingers.
Yeah, when I first moved here, I was just like, "Who's this fool painting Keebler elves everywhere?" I was like, "What the fuck is this shit?" And then it just kind of like I'm not gonna lie, I hate it. And then it just grew on me, and I was just like, "This guy's sick. He crushes."
Yeah, it's definitely it's different. I think it's weird. Like character writers is definitely, well, I wouldn't say it's a Bay thing, but like there are so many Bay Area legend character writers. I mean, for me, one of my favorite character writers will always be Oddfellow, which he only. Yeah. Well, I don't know, he or she. I've never met them, but in more recent Oddfellow stuff, it's been only letters. But like in the early 2000s, they used to do this wizard, and I fucking loved this ghost wizard. It was everywhere. It was so fucking sick. And there was one on 19th and Taraval on a roll down that was there for, ages. And like when I first moved back to the Bay Area and I was homeless, I was couch surfing in that area. I had a buddy that lived on 17th and Taraval, and I'd crash on his couch all the time. And I remember, 19th is where you'd pick up the bus, so I'd just walk down and I'd just stare at that thing. And I'd be like, damn, that thing is fucking sick. It really spoke to me. And then once they started painting a lot more and they started doing just letters, I was like, oh.
Everyone's
I like those characters more.
everyone's different. Everyone's
Yeah.
got their own taste. Personally,
Yeah, for sure.
Personally, I do not like the character aspect of graffiti.
Yeah?
Generally, if it's a character on the wall and it's not someone I know, I'm probably gonna go over it because
fair.
I just am like, for me, it's always.
I mean, letters at the end
it's
of the
just
day. of the
letter.
week, yeah.
It's too I feel like it's too accessible if we just allow characters to run. Some people get the pass. Like Guez.
Yeah.
Pass.
Yeah. Well,
Gotta love the
for
dog. Gotta love
sure.
the big dog.
Yeah.
Twist characters, fire.
Yeah. There's absolutely people that get the pass.
There's
but
people
I
to
think
get the pass, but
it's dependent on the work ethic.
the
too.
work ethic as well. Like personally, I just do not care to see it.
Yeah.
Letters all day for me.
Yeah.
If there's someone's, I always thought it was like corny when fools like drew like painted dudes like breakdancing next to their graffiti and shit like that.
You talking about like in productions
Yeah,
and shit, like hip hop
I
letters?
was just looking at it and be like,
doing
just
a
kinda,
freeze in the middle of the two dudes.
just unhappy face.
It's hip hop, man. But you kind of came from that hardcore scene, so it's
Nah, I mean, I grew up, listening to rap music.
Yeah, yeah.
One of the first records I ever bought was Apocalypse 91, Public Enemy,
okay.
I mean, I like rap music.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things where some shit is just corny.
Yeah.
I always thought that shit was just corn.
Yeah, I feel it.
That's it.
Yeah. No, I agree. It can be. I mean, I mean, this once again, right? Everyone has their own opinion. I personally like hip hop letters. It's also I grew up here in the Bay Area, and so the people that I looked up to was like FSC, great fucking like Gigs, Ruckus, all those dudes, just super hip hop, big chunky funk letters with some cool characters. I just thought, I was like, that's.
I always liked the letters for sure.
Yeah.
Just for me, I always looked at the whole yo, look how many elements of hip hop I'm representing right now. It's like no one
the
cares.
four-legged stool.
Yeah, I was just like, no one cares, man.
Yeah. No, I know. I mean, it's funny because growing up as a kid, I didn't you watch movies and this and that. You watch documentaries and Style Wars, and you're like, oh yeah, Beat Street, shit like that.
Well, then that shit meant something.
Yeah.
I mean, I will always respect the origins of shit.
Yeah, of course. But
Yeah.
it's funny how. Now that I've grown older and I've learned about more graffiti writers, and you're like, man, hip hop really, yeah, of course there's origins and shit like that of graffiti and whatnot with hip hop, but I'm like, man, there was a lot of dudes listening to fucking metal, and they're just hitting trains in New York too,
Totally.
And it's not.
Look at those fools like Duster and shit.
Yeah.
Those you think those
fucking
those
revs.
motherfuckers? Yeah, they'll listen to
Yeah.
they were definitely busting down on some metal.
Yeah.
Those guys look like total heshers.
Yeah, for sure.
And I respect it.
Yeah, that's fucking sick.
Even look at Cat. Just stylistically,
Mhm.
I don't know, man. Sure, I'd love to believe that he was listening to rap music, but I don't think so.
Yeah, man. I mean,
Maybe
I
I'm
think,
wrong. I don't know.
Graffiti, anyone can do it, and
Anyone can do it. That's
Yeah.
just always. It's always been blanketed. I think the culture has always just kind of been blanketed, by the assumption that it's rap and it's hip hop. But I mean, I've met people who were sick with it, who they're like, yeah, I listen to just industrial music and Nine Inch Nails and Ministry and this is my flavor.
Yeah.
And they still go out and kill
Goth heads.
Yeah, you never know who. That's the coolest part, is anyone can write on the wall. That's the part I love about the shit. Is I appreciate pedestrian graffiti as much as I appreciate shit that I know is a piece of is a part of the culture. But I just like seeing shit vandalized and destroyed.
Yeah,
it just looks cool.
I love civilian graffiti,
and it's just someone you look at some shit in the middle of nowhere and it just says, it's just like a Batman symbol on someone drew on
AC/DC.
on a stop sign. You're like, some fool went in their garage that night, got this shit, and went out and was like, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
I was in Richmond, Virginia recently, and there was this dude who looked like he was just came out of like a rave. He had like a mesh shirt on, a clear backpack, big Jinko jeans, you know, a bunch of face piercings. Like he looked like he'd just been doing meth all day. And this dude was walking down this like sewer pipeline by the river, drawing the fish symbol.
Like the Christian one?
Yeah, and then a gun, and then like and then some shit that like kind of looked like a swastika, but it wasn't. Well, we thought like he was trying to draw one, but he just didn't know how. Like he was like doing it in the wrong direction or something.
Okay, maybe it was a Buddhist symbol.
Yeah, I don't know. This guy didn't look very Buddhist to me.
Yeah.
Fair.
I mean, if they're doing the Christian,
and it was just I was just looking, and I was just like, what?
He's on a sick one.
I'm like, he was definitely on a sick one. I was like, how did this guy even get spray paint?
Yeah.
You know, like where did this even come from?
Yeah. It was in his backpack underneath his mesh shirt.
In his clear backpack. His see-through backpack.
Yeah, that's so fire. I can picture it's like some kid out of the Matrix.
My homie Brooks was with me. Excellent photographer and artist, Brooks Alley from Richmond, Virginia. And he just he was taking some photos down there, and then he started following the guy around and taking photos of him because the guy was just so activated.
Yeah. He's like, I have to document this.
It was hilarious.
I would have done the same.
But that's just it. It's just like I love coming up on shit like that. I love running into people doing this shit because it's just you're sort of like, that's okay. That's what that person looks like that does that shit every day. Yeah, all right.
Yeah. I mean, it's also just humanity, right? Like you can't peg everyone.
No.
Just by looks alone.
Not at all.
I mean,
it's always a big surprise when you meet a writer you see up and you're like, oh, that's you, son? Right.
Yeah. I without doxing anyone, I've definitely met some people where I'm just like, you right? Yeah. Oh shit! Like I would have never pegged you for a writer. It's
an equal opportunity out there.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting though. It's tight. I mean, graffiti is definitely.
I love that. I love the variety, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all walks of life.
It keeps it spicy.
Yeah. For sure.
Yep.
All right, so you take a break from graffiti, and you go on in the hustle, get some seed money, and doing your thing. When do you start like coming back and like really being like, all right, I'm gonna fucking start murking again?
I mean, I've been touching down here and there. I think when I started
little spurts and shit like that.
Little spurts. I think when I started traveling more.
Yeah.
And then I was, I was in a different environment, I was in a different place, and that always inspires me to write on stuff because I'm like, ooh, like new surfaces, there's new people, new shit.
Yeah.
Whenever I
get into there as often.
Yeah, whenever I get into another country, I immediately start to get the itch.
You get like do you feel like when you're in another country, you get into like this mode where you're like, how am I not like that back home?
Exactly. Well, that's the greatest part about travel is that you're in a new environment, you're experiencing new culture and new people, new things, new styles, and it inspires. Yeah. If you let it. Yeah. If you really take it in, you draw inspiration. I mean, that's why I spend the majority of my money on traveling is because of the inspiration that I'm able to draw from it and the experience I get. It makes me smarter, gets me, makes me sharper. It helps influence and nurture my interests. And so when it comes to when it comes to graffiti, it's the same way. It just refuels the fire. So I started traveling a little bit and started painting a little more and started getting up a little bit more in the Bay, and then really was when Mike and all the Top Dogs guys started doing their thing, and they started killing the Bay, especially in a time where really no one was. Yeah. It re-inspired me to get back out. They taught me some new paths. I started to sober up a bit, and refined my fever for writing on stuff. Yeah. And
Mike and Plan 9 for sure.
They did a lot of great stuff.
Big inspiration.
All those guys, man. I mean, even right now, like Quete, he still gets me out, and like him and Leche and those guys will pull me out the paint. And not a lot of folks hit me up because everyone just assumes I'm out of town because I usually am these days.
Yeah.
But some of those guys will get me out, and it's cool, man. To still like pop around the bay and catch some fills and get a spot or two, do some shit. So I still get out here and there, but usually it's when I'm out of town is when I'm really painting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's sick, man. Yeah, growing up here in the peninsula, I've looked up to GTB for a long time.
very solid dudes.
Yeah, I mean GTB is undisputed kings for sure. I had Gorby in January and talked to Hindu a bunch, and rest in peace Kazam was always big inspiration, and seeing Quete get into GTB, it was like fuck, they're putting in new people. The crew is still growing. Seeing Leche get up and I just remember seeing like old school stuff just was still running and shit, from the early 2000s, 90s, and track sides here in the peninsula, so it's always cool seeing those guys and really fucking killing it. So it's sick.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's one of the coolest things I think that happened, especially during the pandemic, was seeing a lot of cats who used to get up a lot coming back out and start getting out again.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of folks just got reactivated.
It was so easy too.
It was so easy, and just just the general tempo of the bay right now is pretty relaxed when it comes to getting up. And so I feel like there's more graffiti going up now than I've seen maybe since I lived out here.
Really?
I mean, the bay is crushed.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that's
It's crushed.
I think also, the pandemic, it really had like a really great effect for the bay, because it kind of reset everyone and really made you think about like life and how fragile it is and how temporary. I mean, obviously now, I'm not going to go into like COVID or whatever, but it's one of those things that, when you're being fed into this thing of like, you're going to catch it and die, you're like, holy shit, well, I'm going to go to fucking hit a tunnel today because, I might go grab a fucking gallon of milk, come back and die, like what's the fucking point of me sitting here, in my house lockdown? Plus I also love the fact that like, you can get anywhere in the Bay Area in fucking 15-20 minutes. There's no traffic.
That's great.
Oh my God. All the spots that I had been like, I had pinned on my maps that I had, one day I'll go there, and I'm like, dude, I got all of them. It was fucking sick.
I was going on runs and bringing a backpack with me,
and
then dipping into like the desert yard,
that
whole area under there, because like it was kind of it's sort of like a post-apocalyptic no man's land under there, and I was just painting on abandoned cars and writing on freights, and you'd pull up into that yard during COVID, and at any given time there'd be like 9 writers in there.
Oh, for sure. I mean, now still
it was wild as shit seeing that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd never really experienced anything like that before, and not in a long time.
I mean, I'm sure you bump into writers when you're bombing a night,
but
one
just
here and there.
The amount of people that were
yeah.
active in that one area was crazy. And you'd see people like just doing all kinds of shit with like stolen cars down there, and like fools like building crazy contraptions. This one dude had 40 fucking weed plants out there, like running. Like I was just like, what the
spliced into the electricity and shit, running generators.
Yeah, like I went down there one night. Me and Taze went down there to paint an abandoned bus, and there was this one bus that like had grow lights in it.
Sick.
And this guy was just like running this shit off of, like a generator or something. It was crazy. Like there was just people were down there just doing whatever they could, because
I mean, you could literally do whatever you want there.
It was
Did
wild.
you go to that show?
I was out of town for the show.
You know which one I'm talking about? Was it Dead City Punks?
Dead City Punk show was.
Fuck, what a great show! You missed out, dude.
I don't even want to talk about it. But it's just
fucking Steiner almost died on that night. Yeah,
I heard a lot of really fun, but also a lot of bad things took place that night.
Yeah. The dude who like drove his truck into the crowd, and he was like capping fires, and one went zoomed right by my buddy Steiner's head, and he was just like, whoa.
I mean, that was just sort of like it was just such a clear picture of how lawless West Oakland is.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
It really is the Wild West.
Oh, 100%. You know what's funny is it was my lady that was actually like, yo, you really don't want to go tonight? And I was like, I don't really feel like it.
You're like, it's like people who are homeless or living down there. We shouldn't really bother them.
That
like,
didn't even. It was ever. It was just
that's
like
how I always felt about it. I was
Yeah.
just like, I don't want to disturb these folks.
I agree with you.
But
You
then,
know,
like,
let them do their
But
thing.
then you hear about some shit like that, and you're like, all right, this sounds like a party. Like I got
Yeah, and I'd been, maybe I'm like, a young OG, but I've been to so many shows that I'm just like, they're all chaotic, and I've been to crazy shows, and I'm like, once you've been one, you've been to them all. I mean, I was wrong, obviously, but
Yes.
but I had assumed. I was like, another punk show, another hardcore show.
That one was historical.
Dude, I pull
Straight
up
up.
and it's like everybody's there.
Mhm.
I mean, it wasn't like,
Well, there wasn't anything to do.
yeah,
Everything was closed.
yeah, but no, it was crazy. They're like, oh, what's up, dude? Hey, what's up, dude? Oh, what's up, dude? It was just like, I mean, it was like fucking bumping into everybody and anybody, and then just the fireworks, the fire pit, the fucking. It was it was a sight to be seen. I looked at my lady and she looked at me and she goes, yeah, it's a good thing I got you out, you fucking old shit. And I'm like, yeah, you're right, man. This is fun. This is crazy. We're just catching fill-ins and no one gives a fuck. We have the extendo ladders doing fucking floaters and it was a great time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, that's the.
should have been there.
I think actually, yeah, I think I was on the East Coast when that shit went. was going
Okay.
off, but
Yeah.
whatever. A little
Yeah.
more crazy parties.
Oh, for sure.
I got the rest of my life.
Yeah. So so 2019. Well, actually, if we could shoot just a little back, because we were talking about traveling. What was the first place you ever traveled to internationally?
I mean, early memory. I was a little kid. My parents took me down to Mexico.
Okay, sick.
I remember it specifically because I bought a Nirvana tape
Sick.
when I was down there, and I was bumping that. I was bumping that. We were driving from Cancun to Chichen Itza, and I was
Sick, listening to Nirvana.
I was blasting Nirvana in my
Your Walkman.
in my Walkman. Exactly.
Your
And
Sony
all of a sudden
Walkman.
we get pulled over. And we got waved over by a bunch of cops on the side of the road. And I was like, we weren't speeding. I was like, what the fuck's this about?
Yeah.
And the cop comes to the window and says something, and I see like my dad's face kind of drop, and so I finally turned the Walkman off. And my mom was saying something. He just looks at me and goes, don't say anything, just don't. And I was like, immediately I knew something was up.
Yeah.
And then he puts $50 outside the window, and
He's
the guy's like, okay, we're all set. He's like, you guys take care.
Yeah.
That was the first time I ever seen the cops just straight rob someone.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was
That's Mexico for you, man.
Yeah,
I don't talk to my dad. It's been a decade, but about 5-6 years ago, I remember someone hit me and was like, yo, you should check in on your dad. I'm like, why? And like, yo, he got jumped in Mexico by the cops, robbed him for everything, left him naked, like literally robbed him for everything, drove him out to a field and just left him knocked the fuck out. And then he had to like walk back butt ass naked. And I was like, meh. But I was like, that's
crazy. They're just a fucking gang.
Yeah.
They just are.
Mexico's pretty gnarly. There's I was in Cancun. No, I was in Cancun, Playa del Carmen, which is like, not that far away. But like 2 years ago or whatever. And I think Yucatan is a little bit way more chill than northern Mexico for sure.
Of course.
But there was really no point where I felt like kind of nervous. But I mean, I know obviously it can get pretty gritty in some places. But so what I meant is, I mean, that's sick. That's a crazy ass story that your dad's just like, all right, here, take this 50 and get the fuck out of here. But,
I mean, the basically dude had told him like $50, we don't have a problem.
yeah. But I meant like first time you traveled internationally to write. That you were like, all right, I'm traveling and like I've already caught the bug. I'm painting.
You know, that's a good question. I never really thought about that. Wow. Where was I?
Must be nice to forget where you've traveled.
Yeah. I don't know if I even have an answer to that question. Like went there specifically to write on stuff.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Well, so then so then maybe just like internationally, or you're like, oh, fucking, like, I'm going to do this as an adult, and you're like, hey, I'm here, I'm going to fucking paint too.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think like when a spot that I was like, excited to paint in, and I did do some stuff, and like I went out of my way for it. Like, one spot was like Lisbon, like Portugal.
Yeah.
Another one's Bangkok, Thailand for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Sick.
Mexico City. Let's see, where else?
What year did you go to Bangkok?
Man, I have no idea.
Okay, because I just got back there, so I'm curious to hear the difference.
No idea.
Yeah.
Like maybe it was 2017.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
And I went painting with Mutter and Touche.
Yeah, Mutter's such a cool dude.
He's the best.
I feel really bad because he was selling Leyland paint totes, and I had tried to meet up with him to buy one, but it ended up not working out. But I really wanted to, just support the dude. He came through, and I got to actually have some stickers from him, because I brought like a giant brick of 228s. I was like, oh, I'm gonna bring some US stickers just so everyone can catch tags. But I actually like collecting 228s, and in a moment I'll bug you to catch a couple tags. That's like the one thing I do like to collect is 228s with people's fucking tags on it. But yeah, he was super pumped. I gave him a full bunch.
He's the homie. He's still getting up. He's still doing his thing.
Dude, he kills.
He had the whole city. When I went out there, he was the most up at anyone. He had the whole place completely crushed.
It was completely crushed when I went there. And for anyone that's interested, I'm just going to give him a shout out just because he was a really cool dude, but also he's up as fuck.
Yeah, he was up. Mine had a lot of stuff up.
TyHellboy.th.
Optimus had stuff up. Trying to think who else from the Bay. There was Bay writers had a presence.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Mine was up like crazy.
Yeah.
Shout out to Yupe. He fucking.
Oh yeah, Yupe had stuff.
I think he lived out there for a little bit, but like Yupe fucking everywhere I went there was a Yupe.
Who's the Bay guy that does the box trucks?
Oh,
paints box trucks. I think he's from San Jose.
God damn it. Torch is gonna fucking kill me when he listens to this.
DWB guy. I don't know. Anyways. Box trucks.
Yeah.
Saw a couple.
Opsky.
Yes.
Opsky.
Yeah.
I was gonna say there's no way in hell I don't remember that. Yeah, like I said, Torch would probably be like, have you met Torch?
I don't think so.
He like meets so many people. Sometimes I feel like everybody knows him, but he's a great dude and also a huge graph nerd like me. So like his knowledge of like all the writers in the Bay Area is really extensive.
There was a lot of Bangkok's cool because it's the most touristed country in the world.
Yeah.
It's such a mesh of different cultures hitting it, but
yeah,
the overall prevailing Buddhist culture and the way that people are about life and the way they socialize and the way they live is inspiring and really beautiful.
Yeah.
And
the land of smiles.
Man, it's just it's really hard to go to that country and not have a good time. Just as long as you meet Thai people,
yeah, and
you show love,
yeah,
it's really hard to not have a good time.
You just got to deal with that heat.
I mean, I love heat.
Really? That was hard for me, man.
Humid, jungle, sweaty.
No.
I like to be sweating all day.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good for you.
Makes me feel alive, man.
Good for you, dude. That was my biggest struggle with Thailand was that heat.
Because I love that shit.
It is so unforgiving, dude. It was like 95, blaring sun, 100% humidity. You come out and you're instantly just hugged by that heat.
Well, I mean, I sleep most of the day, so.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah. If you're out at night,
If you're out, yeah, that's the thing is like
if you're out at night, it's a lot easier.
If you're on a mission,
yeah,
you're not gonna you're out till the sun comes up.
Okay,
you're
fair.
sleeping till 2 p.m.
Well, I went there for my wife's birthday, so
yeah,
we were.
That's the hardest thing.
We were doing the touristy
That's
stuff.
the hardest thing is juggling between getting your painting time,
yeah,
and making sure that you have a successful vacation that's satisfying to your woman.
Yeah,
And that you want to know what the hardest balance in graffiti is that you want to ask that question. That's the hardest balance is keeping.
How do you balance graffiti with your lady?
Being a good man.
Yeah.
And getting your childish graffiti time in.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's just it. It's because most women look at it and they're like, why do you do this fucking stupid shit? Like,
yeah.
Most women are really unimpressed by it.
Oh, 100%.
And the ones that are, you kind of have to worry about.
Well, my lady writes, so like it's not really that
no offense.
hard. No, yeah, for sure.
But it's true. And so look, all right, check it out. But that's just is finding that balance though, and saying like, okay, like this time is for you, and I am 100% for you during these hours. Yeah. And then during these hours, this is my time, and I get to go do me, and that's it. And I think that's a very healthy way to manage.
For sure.
Most things.
But I agree with you, dude. Ladies do not give a flying fuck about graffiti. There'd be so many times with my ex, prior to me with my lady now, I was with my ex for like almost 6 years, and I'd be like in a bush hiding from a cop, and she'd call me and she's like, "You said you'd be here by the time to do the groceries." I'm like, "Bitch, I can't talk to you right now."
Yeah, like, this is not the time.
Yeah. And she just was like, "Hurry up." I'm like, "How do I hurry up hiding from a cop in a bush?"
Yeah. And then it goes to the store and you're like, why the fuck are you doing this? And you're just like, I don't know. I don't know why I do this to myself. I'm a fucking idiot. Like, I don't know. I don't tell you. I'm wired improperly.
Unfortunately, right? Touch of the tism.
The way it is. So,
Yeah.
But that's just it. I mean,
Well, yeah. So if you're in Thailand,
you get it how you live, and that's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, yeah. But yeah, if you're in Thailand at night, that's definitely so much more manageable than like broad daylight. I feel it. But sick. Okay. And then you were saying Barcelona as well. I mean, Barcelona is so easy to fucking paint.
I didn't even know that. I think
really?
I think I was there in 2016.
Okay.
And trying to find that balance, and I got out and I was doing stuff, and it was surprisingly very easy.
Yeah. And I love that like Montana's just like $2.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Barcelona is such a cool city.
It really is.
I'm gonna be back. I'm doing an art show there with a bunch of really talented artists and jewelry artists, jewelry makers at the, I think it's called the Tragi Center, and on September 13th, right? September 13th.
Damn. You gonna be out there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm doing a show in Barcelona on September 13th at the Tragi Center, and I'm super hyped to go back because I haven't been back since I think it was 2016, 2017, and man, I mean, there's just so much to that city.
Yeah.
People there are great too.
Yeah.
It's just fantastic.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a city that's like super alive, but it's also just so easy to paint. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I fucking love Barcelona. I've been there twice, and both times are just super fun. And like I only really had one time where like writers didn't want to talk to me, and I was like at a spot that was like pretty, like it was basically illegal. Mm-hmm. And like I was like, "Hey, what's up?" And they're just like, "Yeah." I'm like, "All right, cool. You guys have a good one." But other than that, I've bumped into writers and shit, and it's just like, "What's up, dude?" Like one spot, me and my lady were kayaking, and the instructor had fucking graffiti on the back of his arm. So I was just like, "Yo, what do you write?" And he just a little laughed, and he's like, "Oh, what's up, Lule?" And like we just chopped it up, and he's like, "You should hit this warehouse. It's like 45 minutes north of Barcelona." And we like rented a bike, and they sealed the warehouse, but luckily when we got there, the outside wall was completely covered except for 2 spots. It was like raw brick on this warehouse. And it's just, I actually just recently looked it up from the street view, and I climbed up to like one of the roofs and like did a throw up in the top, and you can see it from the street. I'm like, fuck yeah.
There you go.
That's like my biggest fucking thing right now is getting immortalized in Google. That shit is hot, dude. That shit is hot. I got 3 things right now that you can see from the satellite that I'm just like, fuck yeah. I get pumped.
I've never looked into that, but
Dude, do it. It's such a turn on.
I'm pretty like technologically.
That's fair, but
I'm
I'm sure you got some runners.
I don't know. I just don't even look at stuff like that. I just look at what I see driving around or where I'm at.
That's
That's
fair.
about it, and whatever pulls up in my IG and
Yeah.
so, I mean, the internet, man, I pretty much just use it for email and pornography. I don't really have any other reason to be on there.
Cueing the Pornhub theme song.
Unless I'm booking a flight or something.
Yeah. No, I feel it.
My brother, God bless his heart, is like helping me make a website right now.
Oh,
and
sick.
I feel like I'm really giving him a tough time, But I love him. Thank you, Devin.
Sick. All right. It's just because we were talking about street shots and shit like that. One I did want to ask you about, that one that like always stuck out to me was you could see it coming right out of San Francisco on the BART, was that big ass silver blockbuster where you had like a middle finger coming off of your K.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
How was that painting that night?
That was a fun one. It was cool. I think I painted that with Smoker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It ran for hella long.
It was up for a long time.
Yeah.
And
Soon as, because I just moved to Oakland. I think that was 2015. Pretty sure that was 2015.
that middle finger was so funny. It almost looked like it's like a giant fat toe or something.
Yeah.
It was all veiny and shit.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
almost looked like a dick.
Yeah, it was super thick for sure. But I remember fucking being like, "Damn, that's a good shot."
I just remember waking up the next day, and going over there and like, I'm just looking at him, just be like, "What the fuck was I even doing?"
It was huge too.
It was a big ass middle finger.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a cool spot. I remember waking up early. I was afraid he was going to get buffed, so I went down there at the crack of dawn to go get a flick, and Gun FTL was on his morning jog and saw me in there. He's like, hey man, what do you do? And he's like, and then he introduced himself, but it was just kind of funny, like bumping into him. I was like, yeah, I just want to get this before the buff man shows up, but then it ran for like 2 years or something.
Yeah.
So,
No, that was a big runner for sure. And like I said, I just moved to Oakland. I was there for a few years, so I just started screen print. Well, I'd been screen printing for years, but I'd officially started like a real job at a real print shop.
nice.
And so I was commuting from Oakland to the city every single day, and so I'd get up at like 5 and shoot over there, and then fucking get to work on time because I'd have to take a couple buses, and then on the way back I would knock the fuck out because I'd be so exhausted, from like painting or sketching till like, midnight, 1 a.m. And then, yeah, as soon as I'd wake up, because I'd be getting onto MacArthur, I'd look over and there's that fucking big ass Smoker Aker.
That
fucking silver
creepy ass middle finger.
Yeah.
Pointing at you in the morning.
Yeah. But you would crush that whole area pretty regularly, right?
It was like during that time, that was one of the only areas that would really run,
Yeah.
So, I mean, the West, people weren't doing a whole lot. Like BTR guys were doing stuff, and there just wasn't a lot of people doing a whole lot over there. But that was where things would stay up. So I always enjoyed riding in the West Oakland corridor, man. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah. Sick spot. Any so I know that was a bit of a sidetrack, and we were just talking about you traveling internationally and stuff like that. Oh, speaking of, I was bummed that we didn't meet in Japan.
Yeah, well, that was a random. I figured out, I was in Thailand, and I was coming back to Cali, and I figured out that I could basically fly to Japan and back to the Bay for free, and just on some like miles shit.
Oh, sick.
And so I started poking around to see what was going on, and there was like a dope hardcore show going on.
Yeah.
Like I got to see that band Numb. I don't know if you know, they're really sick Japanese hardcore. Another band called The Breath.
Yeah. I'll definitely
good
look them up.
Japanese straight edge hardcore band. They're going on tour right now.
That's sick.
And then actually I think they're going on tour with a Bay Area band called Urban Sprawl.
Oh, I've heard of Urban Sprawl.
Yeah, they're sick. And then let's see. I just, I ended up linking up with
Colt, right?
With Colt.
Yeah.
Yeah, younger, Japanese writer who was,
Killing it.
He's
I think I was
really
in
with the shit.
Osaka. I remember when I was talking to
And this guy's Spume.
Spume. Interesting name.
Yeah, it's in a crew with Mutter, like
Okay.
24K.
Yeah. Oh,
Really solid dude.
dude, 24K kills.
Yeah, it was great going, getting to meet those guys and
Yeah.
kind of have them sort of show me what's up.
No, I was watching your stories like crazy because Gaz was like, "Yo, you should meet up with fucking Aker," and I was like, "Yo, that'd be ill as fuck."
That
Like,
would have
what
been
are the
cool, man. But I
odds?
was there for 4 days, so like there was a couple of things that I did there that I had to do. One was meet someone from Japan and go bombing.
Yeah.
And I got to do that, and it was great. I had a lot of fun
Yeah.
playing with those guys. They were fantastic. And then I wanted to go to Golden Guy and go bar hop around and see what that was like. Because there's, I don't know if you know what Golden Guy is, but it's basically this area. It's like 2 blocks by 2 blocks. And there's like 400 different themed bars.
Yeah.
All of them have like 4 or 5 seats.
Yeah.
All within this area.
And hello,
And they
little
have
ramen
everything
spots
from
and shit like that. Yeah.
from death metal bars to
Yeah.
soul bars to like weird liquor themed bars to like super high end Japanese whiskey bars, all kinds of different shit like that you can check out. And even if you don't drink, like it's interesting to go there and just see the different themes of these places and what people have done to decorate and utilize such a small space. It's actually
Yeah.
really inspiring for anyone who's trying to put together a small like restaurant or a pop-up or like a small bar, or maybe just do some sort of interesting interior decorating in a small house that they have. This is the type of thing that you can look at because, and you gotta realize, people. The cool thing about architecture and design in Japan is people have learned to make a lot with much smaller spaces.
Yeah.
Because of how dense
The
things
population,
are.
all that,
Population.
yeah.
So it was really cool getting to experience that and sort of see how that all worked.
I went there
Um,
during the day, so I didn't go through like the.
It was dope. And then the other one was, I listened to a lot of like 70s punk and there's this band that they were kind of like 70s punk revival. They were really popular in the 90s called Teen Generate.
Okay.
And one of the members of Teen Generate has a bar and record shop somewhere in some neighborhood just out of the city center.
Okay.
And I went and just did like the pilgrimage to go see what that was like. And I walk in, and there was a bunch of people who were from Oakland who were playing in
sick.
bands out there. They're playing a punk band out there, and I can't remember the name. And they were there, and we just started we recognized each other, you know what I mean? But we didn't know each other.
From like
And
shows
then
and shit.
and then we were like one friend removed,
Oh.
And so we ended up shooting the shit. It was really cool, just randomly running into the Bay Area people there,
Yeah.
who were doing the same shit. And I got to see this dude in a legendary Japanese punk band's bar. It was really cool to have that experience.
Yeah.
And then of course the last thing on my list was going to Tsukiji Market.
Okay.
Going to the fish market and
Yeah.
experiencing sushi in some of the the more well-known sushi spots in one of the top fish markets in the world, and
the freshest that it could
and
be.
getting to have that experience, man, was like fucking phenomenal. I mean, you haven't had sushi until you've been to this place. It's just
Really?
like, I'll never forget this guy just like taking an abalone, popping out the tank, lopping it off, and
Here
putting
you
it
go.
on, putting on some rice, and then just seeing the thing move off the rice.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck?
Like the nerves aren't even dead yet.
I was like, all right, I'm eating that. But it was good.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. It was a very cool experience.
Yeah.
Being able to have the privilege to be able to move around the world and experience these things, is something I feel very blessed for. And I try to, talk to other people and share my experiences, because I draw inspiration for them, and I hope that other people can as well. So,
Yeah, no.
that's what the traveling's about.
I hear you, man. It's my biggest addiction too, and like I eat a lot of peanut butter and jellies and just try to save up every little penny to put money aside to travel. That's
Yeah.
but yeah, your story was way cooler, man. I mean, fuck, I was I was in Osaka, like I said, and I remember I was like, "Wow, I think we're gonna be in Tokyo around this time or whatever." I was trying to make it work, but I remember watching your stories and just seeing like that fight broke out,
which is something you don't really see too often.
Yeah.
And there's just like some club goers like beating the shit out of each other.
Dude, and the one guy that was just like standing in front of your camera just looking at you, laughing his ass off the entire time. That shit had me rolling. Me and my lady both were like, damn, it would have been cool to hang out with them, you know? And then when I got back into Tokyo, I saw your guys' tags everywhere. And
okay, so that night there's another story attached to that night that was wild. All right, so me and that dude Cole pull up to outside this club, and he's just like, I think we can do outlines right here. And behind it's this abandoned building. So we catch outlines on this wall in front of all these club goers. No big deal. But then this one guy kind of starts hanging around us, and he just seems kind of sickly, but I don't think much of it. And he like walks into the abandoned building with us. And I'm like, where are we going? He's like, we go to the roof. I was like, all right, we'll go to the roof. And it was difficult to communicate with everyone because I don't speak Japanese. And so we were basically using Google Translate to do everything, you know?
Okay,
what I mean?
yeah.
Just showing each other's screens back and forth. Pretty difficult, but I appreciated the guy's patience and it worked out. But there's this one guy with us, and he just seemed kind of weird. And he just followed us, and we go to the roof, and there's like a bunch of like club goers like up there drinking and checking shit out. There's probably like 10 people up there partying.
sick.
And I was like, all right, well, this is interesting. And I guess there's just, especially in like the was it Shinjuku area?
I think
there's not a lot of abandoned buildings.
Yeah.
It's just not a thing. So,
Yeah.
I was walking through this abandoned building. There's all this crazy shit everywhere. I go to the roof, people partying, and I'm like catching a tag. I'm like doing, just checking, looking at the streets. And then I look back, and most of the people have left. And then I'm like, I'm hanging, and then Colt runs at me and goes, look. I was like, what is going on? And I see the kind of sickly looking dude on his knees with his pants around his ankles, and he's just feverishly jerking off and looking at us. And I was like, what the fuck, man? And I look at him, and he's just like, yeah, I don't know, Japanese people are so crazy. And I was just like, are we good with this? And he's just like, I don't know, let's just leave. I was like, all right. So I guess that guy just followed us up on the roof to jerk off in front of us.
Hell yeah.
So, I mean, I felt pretty special.
Yeah, man. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I would have felt hella cute, man. I'd have been like, hell yeah.
I was just like, what the fuck is actually happening right now?
Yeah. No, yeah, man. That's interesting.
It was an active night, bro. I don't know. Like, there's some twists and turns.
Yeah. No, that's fucking hilarious, dude. I can't believe that happened. I'd have been like, all right, for sure. I'm not going to sit here and
Like,
wait
part
for
of
you
me
to
wanted
finish.
to kick him in the head. The other part of me just kind of felt bad for him.
He might have been into it, though. You never know. A little glutton for punishment.
Yeah.
Japanese, when it comes to sex, is really crazy.
Yeah, all right. So, the one thing I learned at the show, okay, this was really funny. I was at this hardcore show, and there's one guy wearing a bicycle helmet, was naked, and people kept like, he was like jumping on people and doing his thing, and I was like, oh, cool. I was like, can I get naked? And the one homie's like, no, you cannot. I was like, why? He's like, well, it's more chill if it's this guy. He's like, you can't get naked. I was like, why? He's like, you're too big. And I was like, people will get mad at me. He's like, yeah, people get mad at you. He's like, it's okay if he gets naked though. And I was like, well, what the fuck is the rule here about who can get naked and who can't?
Yeah.
I feel like that's some bullshit. Like, what if I want to get naked at the show?
Yeah, what if that's,
But apparently that was a no-go for the Americans, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I mean, Japan is very...
I would have liked to know the actual real breakdown of that, or maybe like it was just me having like a foreigner moment and not understanding what he was trying to tell me. But
yeah,
someone should probably explain this to me.
Yeah,
because intelligent minds want to know.
Yeah.
Why am I not allowed to get naked at the hardcore show?
I mean, you're probably a lot bigger than most people.
Like, there's like a weight limit on it.
I don't think it's a weight limit. I don't know.
You sure you don't think that was getting fat shamed or something?
I mean, you're not a big dude.
Fuck. I was really hoping you'd say I was.
If that's your thing, dog, I got you.
No, it's all good.
Just don't pull it out and start whacking.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
take you onto a rooftop, and you're gonna have to watch me jerk off now.
Fucking
That's
some.
just. I'm sorry, but that's
What's his
just what's
name?
gonna happen.
Oh God, what's the comedian that did that?
Louis C.K.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe it was just some Japanese Louis C.K. shit.
Yeah, maybe, man.
Psh, that makes sense. He was a comedian. That's what the deal was. He was just a stand-up comedian.
Yeah, that's exactly
That's
what
what
it
it was.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it all makes sense now. That's why the guy I was with didn't get mad.
Yeah, dude, it's pretty crazy.
Okay.
You
It
know,
all
like
adds up.
Japanese culture. You know, now that I've been there a few times, now that I've been able to make some really good Japanese friends to kind of like explain certain cultures and shit. But like, panties getting stolen from women's fucking rooms is like a real thing. You know, like
Panty raids.
yeah,
I thought that shit died in the 80s.
dude. It's like
I thought that died with Bud Bundy. Apparently not.
yeah, man.
The
It's
Japanese have carried the torch.
it's pretty crazy, you know, and like, you know, the algorithm, right? It's like one of those things that really caters. So I watch a lot of Japanese TikTok. You know, my Japanese isn't that great. I speak a little bit, but at least enough. But my lady speaks Japanese, and so like, you know, she breaks it down for me. And so we watch a lot of weird shit, dude. And it's like the amount of like fucking desperate incels in Japan is pretty gnarly. Like they have no game whatsoever.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the country in general is dying, right? I forget what the year it was, but I think it was like 2050 or something. Like 50% of the entire country is going to die of old age because no one's having kids.
That's a real shame.
Yeah.
But I get maybe just overpopulation, you know, and I don't know.
I think it's the work ethic more
Yeah.
than anything because, you know, Japanese company work ethic is like you got to work fucking 16, 17 hours. And then when you're done, you go drinking with your boss, you know, to show him respect. And if you don't, you know, you get ousted and then you fucking sleep in an internet cafe for a few hours, wake up and do it all over again, you know? And it's just like people are exhausting themselves to the point where they're just like killing themselves because they're so unhappy. They don't have time to meet people. It's all about.
I hate that so much.
Oh, I completely agree with you. I hate that too. I'm like,
It just destroys the point of human existence.
yeah. So Japan's a very interesting country in that aspect. It's like, but that's only like Tokyo, you know,
Yeah,
like you
yeah.
go to like Osaka, like the Kansai region, right?
Right.
It's much chiller.
That's dope.
It's way more laid back. Being out there in like the countryside, Miyajima, Hiroshima.
I mean, that's
way
just
chiller.
it. One thing I've definitely learned about travels is, you know, the minute you get outside the cities and you get into the countryside, like it's always a different ball game.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing in America too.
Yeah.
You know, it's just
Yeah, for sure.
you know, you're getting a different side of the culture, and it's
Mhm.
good to have that balance. It's
Yeah.
important to, you know, to leave the city and do what you can. Unfortunately, I only had 4 nights,
Yeah.
and I
Was that the only time you've ever been to Japan?
That was the only time,
Okay.
and I can't wait to go back.
Yeah.
You know, I really want to go back and check out more shit, and also spread it around a little. I'd like to get into the countryside, and then
Mm-hmm.
I also like to visit some of the other cities as well.
Yeah,
So-
no, Osaka is really like I've been to Japan twice. The first time I just stayed in Tokyo. The second time I actually like, you know, I haven't been up north to like Sapporo, but really when I was in like Osaka and Kyoto, I was really like, this is it.
Yeah.
For me, like,
A lot of people cheer that on too. Like I've heard a lot of the same things.
yeah,
Just,
it's
like everyone
super
was
laid
like,
back.
why did you just? They're like, why did you stay in Hong Kong? Or, you know, it's just like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I just didn't have time. And
Yeah.
I don't know anything.
yeah.
How about that?
No, for sure. I
Yeah.
mean, like
Yeah.
once again, right? The first time I went to just stay in Tokyo, I didn't know, and that was my first time ever traveling. I mean, I'd been to Guatemala because I'm Guatemalan, and I've been to Mexico just because, you know, Latinos are like, oh, let's travel to another country.
Right.
But like, really, as an adult, that was the first time that I'd actually traveled internationally. So I didn't know shit of like, oh, you know, multiple cities, you know, traveling itineraries. That wasn't a thing in my head, you know.
Yeah.
Now I'm a little bit more seasoned, and so
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you get the bug, man, you know, you find your ways.
Mhm.
It's, you know, it's all learning. Traveling is a learning experience. You
Yeah.
know, and like just like anything else.
and so you said you'd been to Hong Kong?
Did I say Hong Kong?
Yeah. Oh, you were meant Tokyo when you.
I'm sorry. I misspoke.
it's
I
all-
meant Tokyo. I
Yeah.
apologize.
Okay. No,
Sorry.
it's all good. I was just gonna say, how was Hong Kong? Because I've heard.
No, I've never been to China.
I wanna go so
I'd
bad.
like to go someday.
Yeah. China
I also
looks
like
cool.
to see Taiwan as well. You know,
Yeah.
like those are some untapped areas. And the areas in Asia I've been to, I've been to Bali, Cambodia, Thailand, Vietnam,
Ho Chi Minh.
and I think that's it. Those are the the 4 that I've been to,
Sick.
and I had a beautiful time in all 4 of those countries.
Yeah. Any crazy stories while painting? I feel like Southeast Asia doesn't really give a fuck about graffiti. It's pretty mellow. At least, I mean, I've only ever been to Thailand and Southeast Asia. Korea is pretty fucking scary to write.
Is it?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
like that was the only. Well, Japan I'd painted before, but like Korea, I was like actually nervous.
Japan is interesting because you roll up to a spot to paint. Like, I had like one night out by myself where I probably did a lot of things I shouldn't have.
Yeah,
And then like the next day I was walking around with someone who knew it was up, and they were like, "Yeah, you probably shouldn't have written on that." Like, "Oh yeah, I don't know how you got away with writing on that." Like, and I think it was just just tourist first time ignorance, right?
yeah,
But going out with guys there, it was interesting because you roll up to a spot and it's like a 3-step process. It's like, all right, can the government like trouble bubble see me? Can can like the police monitor see me? Okay. Is there monitored cameras on the spot that we're hitting? And then the final question is this owned by Yakuza? So it's like you have to kind of go through a 3-step process where you can be like, yeah, this is probably chill, let's do this.
yeah,
And so that was interesting. I wasn't used to that.
yeah. Same thing in Korea. A lot of CCTV.
A lot of CCTV. I mean, that CCTV shit is real, like
Yeah,
just moving around out there, like trying to get up. You're on, the back of a motorbike. You're flipping the license plate up.
yeah,
You're bending it up so that they can't trace it back when
Yeah.
you're doing some shit. So, I mean, I respect the way they move, and it's definitely, you're under a lot. You're under surveillance. You're basically under surveillance.
Yeah.
If you're out there. So I give a lot more respect to writers who are getting up and really doing it in Tokyo, because
Yeah.
it's a whole other ball game, and there's real fucking consequences. You
Oh,
get
yeah.
caught, you're going to fucking jail.
yeah. And like for a long time.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
So I definitely have mad respect for those who are getting up in Tokyo. Like, y'all go ahead.
yeah. I've heard some horror stories for sure of a guy from the U.S. get wrapped out there and just solitary confinement for 6 months.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's rough.
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, and like the thing with Tokyo, or not Tokyo, but Japan in general, like their rule is even anything as far as an investigation is automatic 20 days. So like if you get into a bar fight with somebody, they're not even like, they're like, okay, we're gonna investigate it, but we're gonna put both of you in jail for 20 days and we'll figure it out.
That's so wild.
So regardless,
because you think about how the culture is too, with like maintaining a job and shit like that.
yeah,
Your life is over.
20 days, fuck yeah,
Like, you're fucked. You
Yeah.
have to get out, and everything that you've worked for is
gone. Yeah, yeah,
Like, just think about the impact that's going to have on someone's life.
I forget who I was talking to, but someone was telling me that like it was from Japan, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we had a foreigner come by, and he seen a dude yelling at his girlfriend. Like they just got into like a couples fight, but he slapped her, and he was like, nah, hell no. So he ran over, and he knocked the dude out. He was like, you're not touching no girl.
Mm-hmm.
And people came downstairs from the house above, and they're like, what happened? And he, broken English, or whatever, or not broken Japanese or whatever. He tried to explain like, this guy hit a girl, and I knocked him out. And they grabbed him, and they were like, come upstairs, and they hid him. Like these people that have no idea, but they were like, oh, you did the moral thing to do, but they hid him in their house, and they were like, you're staying here for the rest of the night. And the cops came, and they were looking for him, and they were like, fuck that, dude, you're gonna go to jail for 20 days just for even questioning. Even though you did the right thing, they would have always sided with the national.
Wow.
It's really, it's like the dark side of Japan, man. It's like really, well, someone just got shot.
Is that what that was?
Nah, I don't. Yeah, it's interesting, because it's you hear really horrible, like you said, right? It's like, with that culture, 20 days getting, that's your life. A lot of people usually, when crime happens, they look the other way because they don't want to deal with that investigation process.
Still, like, good looks on those folks who like took them in for the night.
Yeah, that's gangster as fuck. They were
mean,
like, "Oh, you did the right thing. We got you."
Someone's getting some presents.
Yeah,
They look out for you like that.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean?
oh,
Like,
yeah.
You gotta
No.
show love.
I'm coming back with a bottle for show.
Yeah,
Like,
it's dope. I respect that.
Sick,
So-
man. So how was you know, I mean, like Vietnam, man. I can't. I heard Vietnam's sick for painting.
Vietnam is really cool in general because being out there now and seeing Vietnamese people elevated at this point socially into a place where they've really their prior generations didn't get to experience is something really wonderful to see, because you gotta look at every generation before this current one that's having children now and coming up in the world. You know, they'd all seen war and occupation,
Yeah.
and this is the first generation that got to grow up without it.
Wow. I didn't even think about that.
And so Vietnam is in a way, and it's like in this new sort of renaissance from my perspective. Now, people who live there may have something else to say. So this is an outsider, you know, who doesn't speak the language
Yeah.
and definitely isn't from there,
Yeah.
looking in and going, you know, and talking to people, they're very happy
Yeah.
with what they're doing and where things are right now. It was cool seeing, you know, foreigners I know as well who are out there and had made lives for themselves, doing their thing and finding their way. Obviously, it's very difficult to make money. And what's very impressive about Vietnamese people is they're able to, they're very efficient in how they survive and how they utilize their resources. And you know, if you grow up in a, you know, a culture that survived communism and various occupation, I think that's something that gets ingrained.
Yeah.
Like, you know, there's that those times have shaped the way that they are now. And even like some of the ways like they make their food, like, all right, look, there's this thing called egg custard coffee out there, and this coffee that basically tastes like the perfect blend between like a really strong cup of coffee and a mix of custard exists because there was a shortage of milk at one point, and so they were basically using egg to whip up into something to kind of like cut the coffee with.
Oh shit. Rather than just drinking straight.
And they use this, they basically make a custard with it, and that's what they put in the coffee.
That's
It's like it's basically like condensed milk with like some sugar and egg, and you basically make like a custard with it. It goes like coffee. It's dope.
It sounds
Honestly,
fire.
it's like the perfect breakfast. It costs like 80 cents.
If that, right?
Yeah,
It's so crazy how cheap it is out
There's
there.
so much food.
Yeah.
There's so much food in Vietnam because everyone is growing stuff. You know, everyone, even like in the city, you know, like the patio space is being used to garden things that you're eating and stuff like that. So like, it's really cool seeing how people use their environment
Yeah.
and use their space to survive and make the best of things.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel like Americans really could take a lot of notes on like how they, you know, how resources are used and things like that. Because, you know, I come back here and you see so much wasted space, so much wasted material, so much wasted food, so much wasted
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
And you realize how, you know, how easy it is for us to take things for granted. And, you know, how what poverty is here is like absolute wealth over there.
Yeah.
And,
No, for sure.
And, you know, that's why, you know, folks come here and they go, this is the greatest country on earth.
Yeah.
Because I can, you know, there's no way it's really hard for folks to like climb out of their social situation that they're born into there. Whereas here, yeah, it's harder if you're, you know, if you're born in an impoverished family, marginalized community, whatever.
Yeah.
But at least there's like there's still chance, you know, you
Yeah.
play the game right, you're smart enough, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
you know, there's kind of like there's hope, but it's not the same. The opportunities aren't there.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It was a beautiful place for
Yeah.
sure.
How was it for painting?
I mean, when I went out, everything seemed pretty chill. Like,
Yeah.
some fools would like pull up and hate a little bit. I almost got in a fight actually with this guy on a scooter it was really weird. He kept trying to get me to get onto his scooter after yelling at me about painting a roll down. And then I got in an argument with him. And I was like trying to understand what his beef was. I just didn't get it.
Yeah.
So, and I was with Yupe, and Yupe had walked off with the person I was with at the time, and they were like doing whatever up the street. And I was like, hey, I'll catch up with you. I'm going to go back to do this. So I pull back up, I'm finishing what I'm doing, and this guy pulls up again. And he starts finally talking to me in English, and he's like, go on, why don't you get on the back? I'll take you to go where your friends are. I know where you guys are. I'll take you. And I was just like, yeah, dude, like I told you like to leave. Like I'm tired of you bothering me. Like if you keep bothering me, like we're gonna have a problem, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, no, you're the problem. Come on, I'll give you a ride. And then I was like thinking about it. I think what this dude was trying to do was get me to get on a scooter so he could take me to the police.
Yeah.
Which is just weird.
Yeah. He's like, I'm just gonna convince
But I
you.
asked the homie, I was like, what is up? He's like, man, people are here bored, you know, and they
Yeah.
don't get what you're doing, so it's
Yeah.
just, or they just don't like it, and that's just what it is. But,
Yeah, word.
but outside of that, I mean, things were pretty chill.
Yeah.
There's a scene there for sure. You know, it's not as wild, I'd say, as, you know, Bangkok or, you know, some of the other cities I've been to, but I think Vietnam definitely has the potential. Like the culture there is, you know, there's a lot of different cultures that have landed in Vietnam, and there's definitely like, you know, subculture. There's countercultures there. There's room for graffiti. There's people doing it for sure.
Yeah.
And there's some good writers out there as well. So it's definitely worth tapping into and checking out. And you know,
Sick. Yeah, I want to go check it out for sure. It's definitely bucket list.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's this guy 60,
60.
who I believe he's originally Australian.
Okay.
But he's out there, and he's definitely up everywhere. And
Damn.
He's a dope individual to bang with for sure.
Sick.
Yeah, I got respect.
Hell yeah. So with everything that you're doing, you know, that's one thing I always like to ask, you know, what keeps you motivated to still keep writing after all these years?
The easiest answer would be absolutely nothing.
Yeah, it's just what I do, homie.
It's just, yeah, it's kind of a knee-jerk reaction. Sometimes you're just somewhere and you're like, all right, I'm gonna get some paint and go do some things here.
Sick.
And you know, there's some times where like I'll see a spot that I'm just like, I gotta find a way I gotta go do that. You know, maybe there's something that I see on the way to work.
Yeah.
You know, or like,
Like that's a good spot.
I
I gotta figure out how to get to it.
Yeah, it's just kind of like sometimes you just see things. You're like, I've got to put paint on that.
Yeah.
You know, or you're just having a good time with your homies. You know, like there's a crew called MC I paint with. It's, you know, it's based out of Virginia, and the individuals in it, you know, they inspire me to still paint, because a lot of these guys are older guys, and
Mayhem, right?
No, it's called MC.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, I don't know
and
why
there
I thought
are
it was-
members of Mayhem in it.
Oh, okay.
But no, it's a mostly Virginia-based crew. It started in the late '90s in Virginia, and there's writers like Dicko.
I was about to say Dick is
and
MC. Yeah.
Marsh and Lobos and you know, Sleep and Hearse. I can't go on and on, man. There's a bunch of writers in there that are Lies, Phone, BZ, Sky, who people sleep on this guy. Sky, SKYE, is a 90s Virginia writer who definitely influenced a lot of people's style out there, especially in the 757 like Virginia Beach area.
Okay.
And you know, these guys, they still tap in. They're still painting on freights. They're still getting walls here and there. They're still getting out, and they're also still like maintaining, you know, other aspects of their life very well. And I have a lot of respect for those guys, just the way they move.
Yeah.
You know, like they're doing their thing. And, you know, some of them just still have like such like teenage lifestyle spirit when
Yeah.
it comes to this shit.
That's awesome.
You know, like one of the guys that started the crew is this guy right, Hero, And, hanging out with him sometimes, it's just it's like hanging out like the hyperactive teenage kid.
Yeah.
He's like still like so excited about like graffiti and weed and just like chilling and like
That's chill.
he's always on his phone doing some shit. It's just, I don't know, like it's such a
It's
great,
very youthful
yeah,
spirit.
yeah, totally. It's such a great group of guys. And,
That's what's up.
I really love hanging out with them, and I really love getting together with them and painting. And,
Yeah.
and luckily I do when I get to go back to Richmond. So
That's what's up.
cool.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Dick. I remember when he came to the Bay Area, he killed it pretty tough, and I remember flicking a lot of his shit.
Yeah, definitely a slept on writer.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. I think he's sick, yeah, for sure. I mean, I follow him all the time, like, yeah, not that long ago, I discovered that, because obviously you can just go to Instagram or whatever and just have like your normal feed, but that you could do liked profiles. So when you go into the top and you click on the Instagram corner, it'll say like following, right? And that's more of like a curated front page of just your regular feed. And I have him as obviously as one of them. So when I always go to the following and I look at that, I'll see his shit pop up more often on my feed. And I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm always pumped off seeing what he does.
That man wakes up at 5 a.m. just to go paint freight trains before the workers get to work.
Yeah.
And then comes
Great
back,
work
and
regimen right there.
And then comes back and starts his day.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, you can see it, dude. I mean, his style is sick as hell.
Yeah.
You got to put in the work to get that tight.
There's another writer too. It's really important to the crew. Who writes Ace 2.
Okay.
And always had a really clean style. Always really pushed style, and just he's definitely inspired a lot of people in that area.
Sick.
So he's one to check out as well. So,
Okay. I'm gonna have to look up a lot of these guys.
Yeah.
Definitely. I'm always interested in looking at new styles, getting inspired, and checking out some cool shit.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to jump into a little bit of like the user submitted questions
Okay.
of what people have. Let's see here. Justin to Baseball says, "What is your spirit animal?"
My spirit animal?
Yeah.
Oh, that's an easy one. Coyote.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Sick.
Absolutely, the coyote.
Okay. Any particular reason?
The coyote he's stealthy, he's smart,
Sick.
he's not afraid to be a total menace,
Yeah.
and I don't know, he just does what he has to do to survive, and I respect it.
I fucks with that. Yeah, that's highly relatable. Can't be found underscores. Pick one: bombing or chill spots.
Bombing, easy.
Yeah.
Chill spots are boring.
Okay. Easy enough. Well, this is not even a question, but it's just Holmes says, well-deserved guess, a real factor out here and internationally.
Holmes is sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a solid dude.
Yeah. No, big shout out Holmes, man, because like I had him on the podcast last month, but like even in general we've touched. I just talked to him last night actually. I was at the Giants game and there's this funny thing where we talked about pump cheese, and he thought it was the funniest shit in the world.
Pump cheese.
Yeah, he was like, "Who the fuck calls it pump cheese?" And
What is pump cheese?
like nacho cheese, like the yellow.
Oh, that comes out of a can.
Yeah, like nacho. Not like
Oh, the pump.
not Cheese Whiz, but like Yeah, exactly. When you go get like American style nachos,
Okay,
it's
all
like the
right.
yellow pump cheese.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about just what that is, it's some wild shit that people should not eat.
Right. Well, anyways, I was explaining to him how like I know it's so bad for you, but something about it I just absolutely love. I
Gotcha.
love pump cheese. Just the flavor of it is just it
Takes you to a place.
it tickles my tism, man. And
it tickles someone's tism, bro. Those cheese pumps were active.
they're everywhere.
Yeah.
And so he just thought it was the most disgusting thing to call it pump cheese. And since then,
I've never heard it called that.
That's what he said. But he sends me text messages every once in a while like, "Yo, dog, check out this pump cheese." And so like last night I was at the Giants game and I was like, "Yo, check it out, pump cheese." And he just sent me like, "Yo," with like fucking 20 O's, just like get the fuck out of here with that shit. I don't eat it all the time. It's just once in a while I'm like, "Yeah, I want some pump cheese."
Pump cheese.
Let's see here. Meth user 45 says, "Do you like pickles?"
Fuck yeah. I love all kinds of pickles.
Dude, yeah.
Pickle everything.
Yeah.
It's the shit. I love putting pickles on things. Are you kidding me?
So I mean, this is pretty, obvious, obviously, because we've talked about hardcore stuff. But Cohen 831, what music they fuck with?
Who's they?
Like you, like what do you fuck with as
Oh.
far as music? Obviously, you say
They love all kinds of music. But right now, I've been listening to like a lot of old cumbia. And
Really?
a lot of Panamanian like soul and calypso.
sick.
I definitely love hardcore music. One band I'm fucking with really hard right now is called Division of Mind, Richmond, Virginia. Let's see.
Cumbia.
Yeah.
I fucks with it.
What else? What else is on my playlist? I've been listening to. I've got back into to listen to Machine Head again. Sort of random. Definitely been putting my Biohazard albums back on again.
Sick.
I've been listening to Ministry again.
Okay.
Let's see what else. There's this band called Youth Code out of LA. I really like. I've been listening to some Gucci Mane.
Hell yeah.
Listen to some Larry June.
Yeah. Can't go wrong with Larry June.
It's kind of where my shit's at right now. Those are
Don't check me. Check your credit score, bitch.
Exactly. That shit's dope.
Hellcat says, "What is the biggest toy move?"
The biggest toy move?
Yeah.
Creating problems.
Kind of like what you were doing in 04.
Exactly. Exactly. It all comes full circle, my friend.
Sick.
No, the biggest toy move is creating problems. People who create problems are stupid.
Yeah.
It's really easy. It's easier to create problems than it is to solve them. But people who are smart solve problems. People who are dumb create them. That is essentially the balance, right? So your biggest toy move is creating problems for people. That's it. Don't do that shit.
That's fair. That's a great one. Baytags says, compare and contrast San Francisco graph scene to the early 2000s to present day.
What? I'm not like a historian, son.
I'm just saying, like, from what you saw back then to what it is now, what do you think?
I mean, it's a lot. It's alive in a different way. It's much easier to get up now than it ever has been. All right, bottom line, like way less repercussions. That doesn't mean that you're not going to get investigated. That shit still happens to,
For sure.
Especially if you're out there like rappelling off shit and doing all that wild stuff. Like that is going to get the attention of police and make people mad.
Yeah.
The same way with painting on a freeway sign used to be or some shit like that. But I guess there's a lot more. Styles are definitely elevated. I'm seeing a lot of early 2000s and late 90s style come back into the letters that people are doing now. They probably think they're doing some new progressive shit, but they're really doing shit that a lot of people already did. They just don't know it.
Yeah.
But they're elevating it. That's the coolest part about style. It's the coolest part about music is that we all learn from the past and we all take pieces and apply them to what we're doing in the present. And that's what keeps this. It pays homage to our predecessors and elevates what we're trying to do moving forward. So to blanket answer the question, I'm just gonna say that this is the wildest I think I've ever seen the Bay.
Yeah.
As far as graffiti goes.
I mean, it's pretty many.
Yeah.
Like
Good job, guys. Y'all are killing it out there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, I ain't gonna front. I'm not active like that on the streets, right? I'm very timid and I'm more of a tunnel lurker. But like even me, I'm like, like hitting freeway shots with cower broad daylight, and I'm like, no one gives a fuck.
No one cares anymore.
It's crazy.
Which it's great.
Sometimes
but it part of it in my head, I'm just like, it's not as fun anymore.
Yeah.
like the challenge.
You don't get that like adrenaline
I'm
rush.
not painting as much in the Bay as I used to. Usually when I'm back here now, I'm getting work done and trying to handle my business so that I can leave again.
Sure.
But the times that I have gotten out in the last year, man, it's been surprisingly absolutely just ridiculously chill.
Yeah.
And it makes me look at my shit and go, I should be doing more. I should be doing something more than just a 2-letter on these spots. Like I should be out here painting pieces on these street spots like these other fools, because that's what you can. It's comfortable now.
You can do that.
You can do that now.
Yeah.
And so people should totally be taking advantage of that, and I should be taking my own advice.
We're gonna see some Aker pieces. Hopefully.
Probably not, but who knows? If I have the time, sure.
I'd love to see one or two. Another chunky, chode middle finger.
Oh my God. Let's let that one rest in peace.
I hope people go on Flickr super hard to try to find it. I'm pretty sure I have pictures on my Flickr
I
like
think
around that time.
I might be. I'll pull it out.
Yeah.
I'll pull it out and send it to you.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Let's see here. Where was I? Rep Kid says a crazy escape experience. One painting.
Oh yeah, I got a good one. All right. Berkeley Oakland border on there's a rooftop facing the BART line.
Okay.
And I climb up this tree and I get onto this roof. It's like basically like right on the Berkeley Oakland border. And I'm out there, I'm outlining, I'm sketching out a straight letter on this roof, and I look and there's a bubble camera right there, and I was thinking to myself, that might be a problem, but I'd seen graffiti on this shit before, so I didn't really think much of it. I definitely was the first person to hit it.
Oh, okay. It was on the roof, like on the building, or just
yeah, it was like on the like on the corner.
Oh,
there's
shit.
a camera.
Okay.
And I was just like, I don't know what this building is, but
yeah, they're like fucking
whatever. And I'm filling in my shit, and all of a sudden I hear a car pull up outside. I look off the roof; it's a police car.
Oh,
and I'm like, uh-oh. Then I hear a couple more pull up.
Oh,
and
shit.
I'm like, oh, this isn't fucking good. And so I drop off that roof onto the roof next door. Now, the roof next door, it was a 1-story building.
Did you finish?
It was no, I didn't finish. It was a 1-story building, but it was like a preschool.
Oh, shit.
And
but it's closed at night, right?
it's closed at night.
Yeah.
So, and I'm just like, okay, I'll just chill out here. There's no way these guys are coming out. Well, all of a sudden, a couple minutes later, I'm up there for, I don't know, I'm up there for like 15 minutes chilling. I could hear them trying to figure out how to get up on the roof. They're like, come out, we're bringing up a dog. We're getting a ladder, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, no, you're not. You're not going to bring a dog up a ladder. Like,
yeah.
So I'm chilling, just kind of waiting for them to leave. And then all of a sudden a fire truck pulls up.
Oh, fuck.
And they are getting a ladder.
Oh, shit.
So I was like, what the fuck do I do?
Yeah.
And
they're on
all sides of the building, and they're trying to get up onto the roof. So
they don't know you're in the elementary spot.
Well, I don't know what they know.
Yeah.
I mean, I went around back and one of them saw my head, and so I think they knew I was up there, and he started yelling and shit. So I hang off. There's a courtyard. It's like a rectangle building, and in the middle of it, there's a courtyard.
Okay.
So I hang off the side of the building and drop down into the courtyard.
Is it a decent drop?
No, it's just 1 story.
Oh, okay.
So no big deal. And I, get up, dust myself off, and I start trying the windows. And I'm like, in the doors, nothing. And then all of a sudden, boom, a window to a classroom opens. I was like, oh, hell yeah. I go in there, I shut the window, and I'm in this classroom, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing here. And I start walking the halls, and then I'm like, wait a second, those are motion detector sensors. And then all of a sudden, boom. Beep, 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 beep. The alarms start going crazy, but at this point, they're up on the roof.
Oh,
right?
shit. Okay.
So I find my way into this bathroom, and I just go in, I sit in the bathroom, I close the door, and there's a motion detector, of course, in the bathroom as well.
Fire.
And there's a bubble there's like a roof bubble, like a bubble window,
Yeah.
Like light can come through
Sure.
on the roof. So I can see and hear them up there, and they're up there on these 2 roofs for like an hour, trying to figure it out, like looking around the perimeter.
Where is he?
I can hear them. They're like, well, how the hell did he get off of here? They couldn't figure it out, and I think they thought they set the alarm off because they were on the roof, right?
Oh,
like
shit.
they probably just assumed that.
Yeah. They're on the roof. Yeah.
And police aren't smart. So I'm in and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, it goes off, and I'm like, okay, I need to find. Like, if they look through the window of the
They'll see
roof,
you
they're gonna
clear as-
see me
Sitting on the toilet.
sitting on the toilet. So I'm like, I gotta move, but then I set the fucking alarm off again. I was like, okay, I gotta stay in the stall
Yeah.
and not move. If I move, I have to be very, very slow.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'll set the sensor off.
Sure.
So I spent the night sitting in the stall till I could hear the janitor come in the morning and
fuck.
deactivate the alarm.
And you're like, it's Gucci now.
And then I walked right out of there.
And were they there on the roof the entire time just looking for you, trying to figure
They
it
were
out?
up there for like an hour and they gave up.
Oh, and then they just
But I was
left
afraid that if I set off the alarm,
while they
if
come back down.
or
and
if they
this
were sitting outside in a squad car posted,
Yeah.
to come get me. So I had to, and that's the thing is, like, I didn't know what the deal was with getting out.
Yeah.
If I could just go outside.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the deal is, man.
Yeah.
How the place was locked up or anything. I just had to like listen to I could finally hear another human being.
Fuck.
And I just got out of there.
That's a good one.
Shit was hectic.
Janitor didn't see you?
No.
Oh shit, dude. Well, yeah. That's one way to get out of that situation.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. What else do we have? We have support your local vandals. Says, what's a favorite spot that you've painted?
Oh, I don't know. That little like concrete little hutch right there when you come over the bridge. That was fun.
Okay.
I ran up the freeway exit to paint that, and
Yeah.
had a straight letter, like a 4-color straight letter that was running in there for like, I don't know, it was up for a couple of years. I think.
Yeah.
It stayed for like 2 years or something.
Sick.
That was a good one. I like that one. When I was a kid, I painted some heavens in DC that I thought were pretty fresh. Like C Street exit going into the Capitol. I was pretty proud of that. Williamsburg Bridge, that was interesting. I don't know. Actual spots. There was a roller I had on Mission Street when I first moved out here in like 2004, 2005 that was really, really big on the side of the Denny's there. That was street level. I went out and just like work gear and rolled it out during the daytime.
Sick.
And then came back and slapped paint on it at night. And
Yeah.
I was pretty happy with that one. That one's huge. I mean, it's really hard to say like a specific,
Right.
because you if you move around enough and you paint long enough, like sometimes it's just getting that like weird little spot you pass every day,
Mm-hmm.
and know it and seeing yourself up on there is very self-satisfying.
Yeah.
Maybe more so than like getting some like ill climbing spot. It's just knowing that like, you see that all the time. It's yours. It's there. That's in itself is like satisfying enough, So I don't know, it's kind of a tough one to answer, really.
Yeah.
That's the best answer I got for it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Vindictive Shadows Posse. How is painting the Bay different from DC?
It's very different. DC is much harder to paint. At least it was growing up because
Yeah.
Washington DC's got like 5 different police forces.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and it's pretty hood, and
Yeah.
so like
I've heard.
there's a lot of like just menacing shit that can happen painting there,
Yeah.
depending on where you're at. Some nights you go out and it's like it's completely fucking dead and it's super easy, and it's crazy to me that there aren't more people getting it out there. There are people getting it, but there's actually, compared to like the last previous years, there's actually a lot of graffiti out there. Like KPG crew's doing a whole lot. Those guys are getting it. There's a bunch of folks who have definitely moved there and started to get some bombing in and are getting dope spots. So it happens. It's there. The difference is that the Bay is much easier to paint.
Yeah.
There's much more risk of getting caught and going to jail or having something bad happen to you there than there is in the Bay Area, for sure. So that's the difference.
Sick. Let's see here. And then Making You Mad 111 says favorite pizza topping and from which restaurant?
Favorite pizza topping?
Yeah.
And from which restaurant?
Yeah.
Well, I think Bay Area pizza sucks. Sorry, guys.
Ooh.
I mean,
Hard take.
coming from the East Coast, man,
Yeah.
you guys are not going to beat our pizza. You're
Yeah.
just not. But, for the Bay Area, I like Golden Boy.
Yeah.
Pepperoni.
Really?
I'm a Golden Boy pepperoni guy. I like it. Tony's is good too.
Yeah.
And even Irving Pizza in the Sunset,
Yeah.
every once in a while hits. I don't know.
You remember Fat Slice?
I hated Fat Slice.
Really?
I had a homie that worked there.
Loved Fat Slice.
I think it just burnt me out on that one.
You just went there all the time.
I just had to get it for free.
Yeah. You been to Serrano's?
No.
22nd and I mean it's kind of like in the middle of like Valencia and Mission. Just go if you're on Mission and 22nd, go north. It's across the street from Jay's cheesesteak.
Oh yeah. Okay.
You been to Jay's cheesesteak?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, right. Literally across. As soon as you look out the window, you see
Yeah.
Serrano's is pretty smack.
Yeah. Just pizza has never been like the culinary focus for me out here. I think.
Yeah.
For the Bay Area, I think the best accessible food out here is Korean food. And also Ethiopian food. The Eritrean food and the Korean food in the Bay Area is dope.
Really?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Holmes said. Where do you go for Ethiopian food?
And of course Mexican food. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Isoquin. I used to take friends who come visit me on like an Isoquin taco truck tour.
Yeah. Hit Taco Sinaloa.
That's like the old one.
Yeah.
Says, actually, may he rest in peace. He's the
Yeah.
one that took me there for the first time. I love that spot.
Yeah.
That was his joint. We had a birthday party there one time. Actually.
Really?
Yeah, it was dope.
Back when they opened up the seating and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now Gax has a fill-in. He's had a fill-in on that roll down for fucking years. There's that other spot right there. God, I'm trying to remember. I think it's off of Park. But you know what I'm talking about? The one right underneath the big billboard with the camel fells.
Wait, what are we talking? Wait, what are we talking about now?
Taco truck.
Taco truck on Park Street,
Yeah.
like 580 side. Or?
Yeah. Like as soon as you get off of 580 on Park and go straight down, you'll hit it.
I don't know. My favorite right now is Mi Reinita. For that,
Where's that?
Carne asada tacos. It's deep. They move around. I think they're like, trying to dodge the health inspector or something. But like they keep moving around in like between the 80s and the hundreds, like
Okay.
almost like Hayward border,
Okay.
or San Leandro border. But
Yeah.
Mi Reinita's the shit. I like Taco Sinaloa, I like Ingrediente.
Yeah. Okay.
Those
Word.
are the ones that are definitely hidden.
Yeah.
In West Oakland, La Perla. It's
Yeah.
really dope. Yeah, that's what's up.
Pineapple on pizza?
Fuck no.
Ugh.
I mean, I'll eat it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna like turn it down if that's what's on the table. but-
Right.
but I'm not going out of my way for it.
Yeah. I think you're from the East Coast, right? Pizza's a serious thing out there. I always like asking people.
I mean, my family's from New York. I spent almost every holiday up there. I go
Really?
back and forth. I have a huge family in the Long Island area, so we just pizza's like a sport out there. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Word.
It is.
I love, my favorite slice is Hawaiian.
Yeah.
Pineapple Canadian bacon. I will pick that over anything, any day of the week. And
I'm just like,
I've gotten
kinda-
so much shit for it in my entire life, and I don't care.
That's do you? I mean, everyone's different.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own taste.
Yeah.
I mean,
For sure. But when it comes to pizza, for some reason, it's like these people are just like hardcore elitists. And they're just like, no, pineapple. And I'm like, whatever, bro. Open your mind.
I mean, I'll eat any pizza. It's like
Yeah.
pizza is like sex. Even when it's bad, it's still pretty good.
Hey, yo!
That's great.
So it's just
All
like
right.
if it's on the table and someone's offering, I'll take a slice.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah. A little bit of booty cheeks, Yeah, I'll take
Whatever.
some.
Take a slice.
Fire. Let's see here. I think that's it for all of the user submitted questions because everything else was kind of like nonsense.
Those are pretty good.
Yeah.
Wait. What are the nonsense ones? Are there like hater questions? 'Cause
No,
I
they're-
want those too.
No, there's no hater questions. It's just like this guy, Cocaine Smoothie. He writes "Eek" out of Warsaw. Cool
Nice.
dude. I like his style. Definitely European. But he just said, "What happens if a black cat carrying a rabbit foot crosses your path?" You know what I'm saying?
Yo,
Shout out. And
let's get into this. So, a black cat carrying a rabbit's foot crosses your path.
Yeah, because it's like unlucky and lucky. Maybe it is a fire question. My bad, dude.
Damn.
Eeki or Eek. I forget. I don't know how to pronounce it. But it's EKKE.
I'd say that being at zero is better than being below zero.
All right.
Like, having no money is better than having negative money.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I feel like what you're witnessing there is a natural equilibrium, and it's something to
cancels itself out.
It's something to appreciate and behold.
All right. Fire. I'm glad we brought it up. And the Evil Tweaker just asked Southeast Asia graph stories, but obviously we touched base on it. So
I don't really got one. I mean,
yeah.
I had a lot of fun going and walking around, venturing around different areas till like the sun comes up.
Yeah.
I remember this one. Okay, so I was with Mother and Touche, and they took me to this it looked like basically like a roadside bar where there's always like
fire.
Where it's basically like a whole bunch of tuk-tuk drivers like hanging out who just looked like they were all sped up off of meth and like hooting and hollering about God knows what. And there was this lady like ladling something out of like into a cup and like adding Thai whiskey into it. And I was like, what is that? Because they were drinking beers and they're like, it's yadong. I was like, what's yadong? They're like, oh, it's like this weird like fermented like herbs and things that they make like almost like a wine or like a tincture out of, and they some are like used for virility, some are used for like health, some are used for they're basically like it's just like this weird roadside potion essentially is what it was explained to me.
Sick.
And I was like, I want that. And they're like, oh, I thought you weren't drinking. I was like, I wasn't drinking, but
yeah,
this is interesting. I want to touch down.
I mean, when it comes to shit like that,
you gotta pick and choose your adventures.
When in Rome, right?
So yeah, I chose this adventure.
Yeah,
and that shit had me wilding, and it definitely set the night off. And like,
you just had like one.
We named ourselves the Yadong Cowboys that night because everyone then was just like we were all just like
you guys were all drinking it.
Yeah, it's like it gave me like a head rush.
You just over there with a huge fucking boner.
I just drank some Robitussin or taken like some gas station boner pill.
Yeah.
And drank a bunch of whiskey.
Pills.
And I was just like, it just felt fucking crazy,
Doing
and we were
just
running around drinking Yadong and fucking doing fill-ins in some random neighborhood in Thailand. It was super, super wild. So, I don't know. That was fun. It was just like a random memory.
That's a great story.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah. The only I think last one that was on there was there's two, but Lorenzone says Bangkok in December, and then just a little.
I hear it's wonderful that time of year.
Yeah, you didn't go.
I didn't.
No, I'm saying were you?
Did I go?
Yeah, were you in Bangkok in December?
I don't know. When was I out there? I think I was there like maybe like a year and a half ago.
Oh, okay. You don't remember the time period that you were there?
I don't know, man. A lot's happened.
The only other question was Rewolf asked that she was curious about numbers and next to the names and why the 47.
47.
And you like touch base.
Yeah,
a little
touch
bit,
base.
Like,
it's a reoccurring number in my life.
Yeah.
And there's some personal pieces of it I can't get into.
Sure.
For identifying reasons, but there's also like interestingly, it was also the first gun I ever shot too. I don't know. It's like there was something powerful about it. It was a Vietnam issued AK-47. It was fucking super dope.
Damn.
And it just fit. Like if I'm already doing 8, I'm already doing an AK.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it just for a little bit of mass appeal, throwing a 47 in there just kind of made sense.
Yeah.
So there's a few elements that brought it into the fold for sure.
All right. Word. Yeah. That was all for the user submitted. Can't talk. That was all for the user submitted questions.
There's not even like hater question like,
No.
why are you such a bitch? Or like,
People don't do that. Like,
you have a very polite fan base.
I'm very lucky. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no one really talks shit. It's actually
nice.
really been nice how positive this podcast has been for me on the back end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool. I mean, I think it's nice to hear people talk about what this shit is and what it means to them, and get the stories and get the history, and everyone's got their story and shit, and I think what you're doing is very cool. So hats off to you.
Right on, thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, I've been flicking, for fucking 15, well, longer than that, but I'm taking actually taking it serious. I mean, I've always taken pictures of graffiti as a kid, and I lost a lot of pictures and shit like that, but documenting graffiti has always been like, it was never something that I was like, oh, I'm documenting. It was just something that I did. I was just like, oh, graffiti, cool, flick, But it's like, it's become a thing where you look back at it and you're like, fuck, man, 15,000 pictures on Flickr, 15 years of history. And it's like, fuck, what else can I do, And like, I always joke around that I'm stupid, but like, I'm a tech nerd. I love technology. I'm always constantly pushing myself and evolving myself as much as I can, and so like I really got into, and I can't say this enough. Legends Thursday by Coop was like a huge inspiration. Bus and Cub with Graffiti Machine podcast was a suit, rest in peace Cub. Once he passed away, I mean, that was like hard, because I grew up listening, not growing up, but like listening to their stories and how intimate it was. It's just like, it's a really intimate connection to the person, and I thought it was really cool. And I was like, man, the Bay Area definitely deserves something like that, because and it's we're in the third year now of this podcast, but it took a year for me to get the balls, to even be like, should I do this? I thought in my head like, oh, I want to do this podcast, but I'm like, who the fuck cares about what I have to say or people that I'm talking with? And then I just got in my head of just like, man, so many people say shit like, oh, I could do that, or I could do this, but they never do. And I was just like, man, I don't know. Something just was like, fuck it, I'm just going to do it. What's the worst that could happen? People's attention spans are so little nowadays. I'll make a fool out of myself 1 month. They're like, Joe, did you see Myan make a podcast? It's just whack, And then, I've seen graph writers come and go, just like anything else, and people forget about them. So I'm like, if it doesn't work out, people forget it. But luckily enough, people fucking are like, when's the next one? Who else? Who are you talking to? And I'm like, fuck, all right, well, before it was like a fun project that I was like, now I'm like, fuck, I got to keep this shit going.
You have to do things for you. I mean, really what it comes down to is, it sounds like if something you want to do, you pushed yourself, you did it. You got to do things for yourself, not to satisfy other people.
For sure.
So much of a lot of people's motivation is to gain attention or praise from someone else or a certain group of people or things like that, and we have to get away from that mentality, and we have to say we have to look at the things that we do in our life and ask ourselves why we do them. Is this for us? Is this for someone else? And if it's for someone else, like, why are we doing it for them? And what does that really do? Is that really helping? What is it? And I think that this kind of helps. This allows people to come out of their shell, share their story, immortalize their words a little bit, and provide a good source of entertainment, especially for folks who are involved in this culture and care about what people write on the wall. And this is fun shit, man.
Yeah. No, and that's definitely what it's become. I mean, it's one of those things that I feel for my own self proud that I've been able to create a platform to help others to share their story, and I think that's like the biggest, more than anything. I mean, I'm don't get me wrong, I'm grateful for the listeners, I'm grateful for all the feedback, but it also feels good that graffiti, I mean, you for me, it's helped me get out of a lot of shit. It's helped me work through a lot of things. It's helped me push myself artistically. I talk about it all the time, make jokes about like ADHD, but like seriously, it's like something that actually helps me calm down, is why I push myself more towards like piecing than bombing. It's like, it really helps me reset my brain and like not being able to think about all the worries in my life or this and that, you know, for hours at a time, and like this dark ass tunnel, listening to rushing water, you know, all the little its and bits, you know, your senses on high when you're in a fucking freight yard, listening to the refrigerated unit in the background, all that shit, it calms me. And so for something that I love so much, that has given me so much, being able to give that back to other people and people that I respect, you know, and want to listen to their stories, it's like, that's what I get off on.
Yeah, man, it's there's so much adventure to this, you know, and there's so many things to romanticize.
Yeah, for
You know?
sure.
And,
You
like
know?
there's all the negative shit, but really
Yeah.
at the end of the day, there really is like a lot of things to romanticize about it, and hearing those stories are important.
Yeah.
So-
No, for sure. I mean, I think humanity is fucking cool. I mean, it's, you know, fucked up as it can be sometimes.
It
You
is
know, there's
also
some,
the devil.
yeah, for sure. But
Integrity.
But there's like some beautiful things that come out of it, you know, like listening to a guy jack himself off on a rooftop.
Definitely the highlight of my graffiti career.
It's fire, man. I'm glad that I have a platform to be able to listen
Oh
to
my
something like
God.
that.
No, there's a lot of irony to this. It's, you know, one thing I'll leave with, and it's something that actually not, I don't know if I've ever actually even told anyone this, but why not now? So when I was born, there was a bunch of complications with my birth. Growing up, I had to go through a lot of physical therapy, and luckily my mother growing up, who was a fucking angel, she's a physical therapist, and so she
okay.
helped me a lot. So I had an advantage that I was able to overcome a lot of stuff. But growing up, doctors told her like there's a good chance that I wouldn't, because of the problems with my motor skills, that I most likely would not be able to write like handwritten words or write cursive
Oh,
for that much or anything. So you gotta love the absolute fucking irony. Is
Yeah.
that I write on everything.
Yo, that's crazy.
And it's funny because I never really spent much time even thinking about that, but you know, and my parents never liked the idea that I did this. I mean, most parents don't.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's funny joking with them about how like, I was like, yeah, you remember how the doctor said like I wasn't even able to do this shit? Well, you know.
But see, that's my point, you know, like it's things like that. Like, I mean, you know, you've never said that to someone. The fact that like this forever will be immortalized. Now people can look at Aker on the wall and be like, dude, there was a point when that fool wasn't even supposed to write cursive.
It's kind of funny.
I think
But-
it's fucking hilarious.
But
That's like,
that just goes, you know, all problems in a sense with enough effort, you know, and you know, I mean, especially early on in life, they're correctable. You know, but you have to have the right tools, and you have to work hard to get there.
Yeah.
And, you know, luckily by the time, you know, I was old enough to even comprehend any of the stuff that had happened, you know, early on in life, like I was pretty much just a normal kid. You
Yeah.
know? But, you know, still there was, you know, complications when it came to like, you know, handwriting and things like that. And
yeah.
obviously I've more than overcome that.
You know, it's crazy because like cursive was such a big deal in school.
Big
And
deal.
like now no one knows how to do
It is a
cursive.
lost art.
Yeah.
When I see someone
Yeah.
who has like nice cursive, like good penmanship, like,
Yeah.
I'm like, yo,
That's fire.
that's fresh.
Yeah.
Like you ever like date a woman who's got like really nice
Oh
handwriting?
yeah.
And
Yeah,
you're
that
like,
shit's so cool.
You're like, oh, you just got a little bit hotter.
yeah. It's like you have natural hands. That's fire.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Anyways.
I have me personally 2 questions that I always like to ask. First one is because I really also like to use this platform because I don't think that a lot of the youth nowadays have OGs. They don't have really people showing the way, you know, and how to do things. Maybe hopefully that's going to turn. But like I remember as a kid being like the old head, be like, hey, do this, do that. I'm like, all right, for sure, you know, get game. So I feel like a lot of new kids don't get game. So with your knowledge now, with your experience, if you could give advice to 18-year-old you, what would you give?
Man, it would be like a 2-piece advice.
Okay.
First part would be a whole lot of financial advice and exactly where to invest your time and money.
Oh, yeah.
So that, but without nerding out on that,
Sure.
I would definitely tell myself, look and realize that you're not in the right room, that your value isn't where you are right now, but you should be looking to figure out who you should be around and where you should be in order to be valued. Like, I look at where I was, working in a shitty restaurant, not making any fucking money, managing it at a young age.
Yeah.
So I had the thing. But I look at it and I go, there's this other shit you should be doing right now. There's other people that you should be hanging out with right now that will love and care about you forever. And a lot of these folks that you see, that you have around you right now, they aren't it.
Yeah.
And you need to take a look at yourself and think about what really matters to you and start setting goals for yourself. Because without goals and without being around the right people that help, love you and nourish the person you are and help help your strengths and help your future.
Yeah.
Without being around those people, you're not going to have one.
Yeah.
That's not going to exist.
Yeah.
So my advice then would be stop creating problems, start figuring out how to solve them.
Yeah.
Set goals for yourself and make sure you're in the right room.
Damn. Yeah, no, that's great. That's funny as you said that. It made me think of something. It's, it's kind of a nerdy thing, but like it's along the same lines of like you could have a Pokemon Charizard card, and
I don't know what that is.
That's all right. It's you've heard of Pokemon,
but I know that they have value.
Okay, so a first generation holograph Charizard card is worth $100,000.
Okay, that's tight.
You give that to a baseball collector, and they'll be like, "What is this? $2? Who gives a fuck about this?"
Exactly.
You put it in the right person's hand, and that value is there. So
boom.
It was just using the Charizard as like an example, but it's what
it's a
you're
very
saying.
good example. It's
Yeah.
like it's like some people look at you, and you might be a very talented, intelligent, wonderful human being.
Yeah,
but they don't know what to fucking do with you.
so they don't care.
They
Yeah,
don't care, and they're not on that level.
yeah,
And so go with the people that value you
Mhm.
and that you have something to add to, and that what you're doing is appreciated and loved, and keep those people around, nourish those relationships, help grow those people,
yeah.
and they'll help do the same for you.
Yep. Fuck yeah. Yeah. No, that's great advice. And the last question of that is, what would be your last meal?
Fuck, bro.
I know it's a hard question
It's impossible
for a lot of people, but like,
so all right, I'll break it down. For me, I love food and wine. I just do.
Okay.
I like I it's a part of my life. It has been for a very long time. Whatever.
Okay.
All right. So, but for me, like the best meals I've ever had have been with the people I love.
okay.
And so I would want my last meal. Is it the last meal? What is it?
Yeah, like your last
My
meal.
last meal, I'd probably want to be cooked by my mother.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I would want it to be cooked by someone in my family who I care about, so I could share that with them.
Yeah.
And it really wouldn't matter what it is. But my mom did make a mean beef Wellington at Christmas,
Beef Wellington.
so we'll do that. We'll go with
Nice.
that. And I would like my best friend Daryl to be there. I'd like my brother to be there,
Sick.
and my dad, and and
Sure.
my family.
Yeah.
That would be my last meal. But if I had to go just pure on like some wild fire ass shit,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Restaurant Joe Robuchon in Las Vegas at MGM is, man,
Really?
fire. That was a good one.
Nice.
That was an excellent dining experience.
Okay. Might have to check that out. I haven't been to Vegas. Last time I went to Vegas, I think was, actually, I remember. It's 2013. It was the last time I did cocaine.
There you go.
Because I was This is so funny. You ever heard of Musk?
Yeah.
The mummy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was hanging out with his ex. She was doing, she's a model. Musk is a little bit of a pimp. And so she's a model. She was doing an alternative model convention in Vegas, and she was out there with all her girls. And I was there with Steiner and this dude Phil. And we just brought like an 8-ball and hella fucking alcohol. We went to go paint the Wheel of Misfortune.
Okay.
You ever seen that?
I don't know anything about it.
Rest in peace, Aware. But he did, the Wheel of Fortune.
Okay.
So it's an old abandoned fucking factory. It's covered in asbestos. It's terrible, but it's a giant cement circle, and he painted it like the Wheel of Fortune, but he called it the Wheel of Misfortune because it says like bankruptcy and you know, losing your house and all this shit. But the side walls are completely clear, and so we ended up meeting up with a key liar out in Vegas, and we like painted it, whatever. And I remember getting coked out of my mind with Rosie, and I looked at her and I was like, I'm too old for this shit. And she was like, same. But, you know, next time I go to Vegas, I'm going to have to check that spot out.
Yeah, I mean, you know, cocaine and going out for good food don't really go hand in hand.
Yeah, no, it really doesn't. You're not hungry at all.
No, you're not worried about food.
All right, sick, man. Well, yeah, that's all my questions, all the user-submitted questions. I mean, is there anything else that, you know, this is your episode, anything that you'd like to add, shout-outs to your friends, you know, whatever it might be?
Just much love to my friends and family and all the people who, you know, have got me to where I am. And, you know, anyone who I forgot, you know, just know I love you and appreciate you. And I hope to see and talk to you soon.
Fuck yeah. All right, well, at the end of the episode, I always do sources, you know, where you can find things. If you're coming off of a search and just found this podcast and you're curious as to, like, what we are on social media, you can find me, Bay_area_graffiti on Instagram. That's like well, it used to be a photography page, but now I just do terrible graph memes. But I throw a little couple pictures here and there. My personal graffiti, What's Your Name? But name is spelled Naym, which is just Myan backwards. And if you click on the bio, that'll take you to all the links to the Flickr, the podcast. I've been a little bit more active on the YouTube, making YouTube videos, all the places I'm traveling or painting and whatnot. So check that out. And of course, the podcast forward's over there. I don't know if you want to put your Instagram on there or people would find you.
At Persevere74. If you don't know how to spell persevere, that's your fault.
You're shit out of luck. Word, man.
If you don't know how to spell it, don't follow me.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. If you're an idiot, fuck off.
Yeah, no, I post photos and really stupid shit on there sometimes.
Yeah.
So if you're squeamish, don't follow me either.
Yeah. The stories are always pretty lit.
Yeah, there's a lot of ridiculous shit.
Yeah.
The world's a funny place.
Well, sick, man. You know, I genuinely thank you for coming by to the show and, like, you know, sharing all your stories. It's been really great to document this and hang out with you for a bit.
I don't know. This has been fun. Thanks for having me.
Sick. Well, thank you guys for listening, and I will catch you guys on the next episode. Peace.
What is this rush thing? What is the rush that you get from it?
The ultimate rush. Nothing of it. Nothing to beat it. No drugs. No nothing.
Are you the kind of person who goes up on those signs on the freeway?
Yeah, more than anyone.